we just want to look at a very important aspect of journalism. We have always told stories about the bad stories. We have told stories about how water is being polluted. We've told story about how the environment is being destroyed. But a very important aspect of telling story is to talk about how people are solving these problems. But I mean, in our part of the world, it is not always the case. In some instances, the best story you can find is a story that talks about the challenges, that talks about the destruction of our environment and other stuff. And therefore, people always want to appreciate such stories. But a new thing is happening in other parts of the world where journalists are encouraged to tell stories that can inspire change. And that is what some journalists call a solution journalism. And so today, people always try to link solution journalism to PR, where you would want to praise somebody doing something good. I mean, but that is not the case. I believe that after this training, you would be able to understand exactly what solution journalism is about and why we must tell solution stories. I will show some few examples of some of the solution journalism that I did, and you would have a clue of how it looks like. For instance, if there is a problem in your community, if somebody is cutting down trees, or if all the trees in your community are being cut down, and you find out that one person has gone back to plant the trees or to plant trees, so that in the next few years you would have trees grown where they were cut. So in as much as it's important for us to tell the story of the destruction of these trees, it is also important to also tell the story of how someone is planting these trees to inspire change and why the person is planting them and what the person seeks to achieve. So solution journalism focuses on how people are responding to problems. Yeah. So things that are working. What are the things that people are doing that are working, that are solving problems? And you should have evidence to show, not statements. So like I mentioned earlier, it is not just what is going wrong. I mean, it is about what is working. What are the people doing to change the narrative? Yes, there could be a climate impact on crops. The rainfalls are not coming, or there is an intermittent rainfall, and therefore people cannot plant. Now, we have seen someone trying to innovate, try to create a small dam to help these. There is someone somewhere trying to provide a solution, even though the solution might not be that great, but it is cost effective. For instance, providing small dams or creating a small borehole to be able to water his farm. Such story is very important to tell, because even though it is a local way of solving the problem, it is important to tell such stories because it will inspire change elsewhere. People watching or reading the story in other places would want to imitate such a thing, and probably to change their situation. And so solution journalism has no anything small about it, and therefore it's important. So now, example is a coastal village in Senegal or in Ghana, or what is happening in Nigeria right now. I understand in the last few days there were some heavy downpour. There was a downpour where people lost their property to flood and other stuff. So assuming we have something like coastal village in Senegal using mangrove restoration to combat flooding, it's a good story to tell. Assuming people are building houses, climate resilient housing, and it can withstand flood, it's a good story to tell, because you are telling such a story not necessarily to praise them, but to let the world know that same solution can be applied in their situation. And therefore, it's important for you to tell such story. That is why people assume that, or people think that it is a PR. You are actually, what they call it, praising the person, which in the past, it was not common. But in solution journalism, part of solution journalism is to be able to tell how the solution or the change is helping lives. Okay, so it's important to tell such stories, and it is becoming very common. Yeah. Now, why biodiversity stories matter? So biodiversity is an essential for ecosystem health. We've talked about this in previous training, and food security and climate resilience. So in West Africa, biodiversity supports millions of livelihoods and cultural heritage. And that is why we need to tell solution journalism in this area. We tell solution journalism stories in this area, so that people elsewhere will be able to do same to solve the problems. It is not more about talking about the problems. We have to look at how these problems are being solved elsewhere. Now, another scenario is that Ghana's cocoa farms threatened by deforestation. What is being done to reverse it? Yes, we know that there is a galamsey, which is illegal mining here in Ghana, and people are cutting down cocoa trees to mine. So aside that, with areas where we have these cocoa trees, we have forests, and these forests are being destroyed. So it is not just about telling the problem of the cocoa farm, but it is also about telling what is being done to reverse it. It's important to tell that story, because you need people to know that a certain group of people somewhere are making an effort to correct the mistakes. So you see the problem and you want to tell the story. Yeah, people want to see, yes, the land is being destroyed, but have you also looked at the other way around, how people are trying to reverse it? Because if you are to work on a story like that, you would find the limitation. And solution journalism must have some amount of limitation, and that is where you find it. So forests are being destroyed, somebody is doing something to reverse it, but there are limitations. The limitations are what? Are things that are beyond the one providing the intervention. And that is where you would talk about, and that really will let people know that yes, there is a problem, someone is trying to reverse it, but there are limitations. So how do we solve that limitation? So challenges in biodiversity reporting. We have most media houses coverage emphasizes doom and gloom. Like I mentioned earlier, narratives, making audience feel powerless. So, I mean, most journalists don't always explore what is being done to address biodiversity loss. Okay, so we need to start working on stories like that. It's not just about the doom and gloom stories. It's about interventions too. Yes. So, in fact, we now have journalists who would want to tell stories about how things are being changed, things are being done to change the lives of people. And so one aspect of this training that we have not done is to look at the locally led adaptation, how people are adapting to climate change. But once you understand this training, you'll be able to apply that knowledge to in doing such stories. So it's more like looking at what local people are doing to adapt to climate change. What are they doing? There is weather impact. We have rainfall intensities are increasing. We also have what they call it, temperatures are increasing. We have the volumes of rainfall, the frequencies are increasing. And so how are people adapting? So we have local system where local people used to adapt to these changing weather conditions. And so such stories need to be told so that people will know that you don't necessarily need a scientific research somewhere to be able to adapt to these changing weather patterns. There are people elsewhere who are actually doing it in the local way, and they are getting the results. So it's not all about the doom and gloom narratives. The promise of solution journalism, I'm going to be very brief. The promise of solution journalism. So by spotlighting effective responses, we engage audience, we inspire action. I've mentioned this earlier, and contribute to meaningful public dialogue and policy change. So you find out that a community has a lot of criminals, okay? And out of 100 people, you're going to see like you hardly see one person. Almost everybody is a criminal, right? So now, a group of people within the community decided to look for a change. And they want to change the story of the community. Such a story, even if you want to spend your entire if you want to, please, if you join, make sure you mute your, audio. If you want to spend your entire savings to work on that story, please do. Because it's a story that can send you anywhere in this world. Yeah. So change, you want to engage your audience, you want to contribute to meaningful public discussion or dialogue.
Yeah.
So key elements of solution stories. What are the key elements that we need to look out when we are working on a solution stories? One is response to the problem. You need to be able to identify what kind of response people are providing to the problem. 2, evidence of the impact. Yes, there is a problem. What is the impact? What is the level of impact of that problem? You need an evidence. That is where you need data. And we've done something on data. So you would have to get the data and analyze the data and be able to convince your readers that this problem exists. Okay? So insight into how this response works. Okay? You've gotten the response. You've gotten the evidence of the impact of the problem. Now you have to look for the insight into how the response works. How does it solve the problem? How? How unique is that response? How sustainable is that response? How long will it take? Okay, sustainable. So now you look at the limitation of the solution. Like I mentioned earlier, I talked about the limitation of the solution. So these are the 4 things we need to look at. So you identify the response to the problem. There is a flood or there is a collapsed bridge in the community. So people cannot cross to the other side. And students cannot also cross to school because they have to cross the river to the other side so that they'll be able to go to school. They cannot. So the bridge is collapsed for the past, let's say for the past 6 months. Nothing has been done about it. Government is not doing anything about it. So somebody decided that, okay, I am coming to provide a simple solution to the people. So he decided to put a branch of a tree so that people can cross the river to the other side. It's a response, okay, to the problem. But how is it? What is the impact? Evidence of impact. How is it impacting the lives of the people? Students were not able to go to school. Now they can be able to go to school, yes, but the branch is not the best thing to use, but it is solving a problem. So children can now cross and go to school. 1. 2, those who couldn't cross to the other side can now do because they were cut off. So they cannot do anything. They cannot go to the market and all that. So now they can cross and go to the market. How is the response working? And now you talk about the limitations of the solution. And the limitation is what? The branch is not the best solution, or it's not the best thing to you, but it is solving a problem. So it means that it could create another problem in future. That is why you talk about the limitation of that solution that is being provided. I hope I'm making sense. So then next one is what makes this solution different? It is not an advocacy, like we mentioned. People say solution journalism is PR or good news. It is evidence-based. It is not about advocacy or good news. Somebody comes to tell you that I have provided 50 bags of food to a community. There is no evidence. You only see the pictures. You've not seen it. You've not gone back to check how is that affecting life. Because if you come and give me 1 pure water that I drink today, I mean, you don't go and tell a story about that and say somebody is solving a problem, because the pure water you gave it to the person can only last within that period. Okay. So critical reporting that asks what is working, why, and how can we learn from it. That is why I talked about action elsewhere. You are doing such stories to ensure that other people will learn from the solution that somebody or a group of people are providing. Yeah. So finding biodiversity stories, we have community-led conservation, like I said, locally led adaptation stories. I mentioned some examples. There are stories that are being intervention by governments, agencies, NGOs, and the rest. But don't go and do advocacy story. There should be evidence-based. This is an evidence-based story. You need data, you need to see what is happening, and you need to tell the story very well. So biodiversity-friendly business models. And then we have restoration and rewilding efforts. These are how finding biodiversity solutions. These are the places you can also find. There are a lot of them. It's just a few. And so questions to ask in your reporting. When you are doing a solution journalism stuff, these are some of the questions. There are a lot, but these are some of the questions. What is the specific problem being addressed? Who came up with the reason and why? What is the evidence of the success? What are the limits or the criticisms? I use the branch for example. The criticism is that it can break, or it can even wound someone. It can injure someone. And people will begin to criticize. Somebody who doesn't know the place, and he will complain that, why are they putting this thing there? This thing is no good. Very soon it was, but he's not aware that when that thing wasn't there, a problem was created. Somebody came to do that. And now it is solving, giving solution to the people to solve some of the problem. He's not aware, but he will criticize. So you have to look at those things. That's where you find the limitations. Now, can it be replicated elsewhere? Like I mentioned, I talked about inspired change, how people can copy it. That problem, can you implement it elsewhere? Yes or no? Now, sources of story ideas. I mentioned them earlier. I mentioned about NGOs, so I mean, government agencies and other stuff. So, I mean, this is just few of them, local NGOs, conservation. Some of you even work with NGOs, so you know what I'm talking about. Environmental researchers, ecologists, policy success stories, indigenous knowledge and practices. So you can get indigenous knowledge, but I always advise people to go and look at such stories. There are a lot of them, indigenous knowledge and practices. I did a story about how farmers in northern Ghana are moving away from maize cultivation to sorghum or millet. Now, what happened was that in the past, these farmers were into sorghum cultivation, and anybody who knows anything about sorghum will tell you that sorghum can withstand bad weather for a very long time. And so when they were cultivating sorghum, they didn't have problems. Now they moved to maize. And now any small intermittent rainfall, the maize will suffer. So what did they do? They decided that, okay, we are going back to sorghum. And with the sorghum, even when you don't apply fertilizer, it will grow. If the rains don't come for a very long time, it will still be able to adapt. So now, the knowledge that their fathers or their grandparents passed to them is working today. They didn't know that they went to maize. Now they have gone back to sorghum. And now they think that they are doing well than before. So it's just one of the stories that you can look at and then work on. So now a case study. For example, a community in northern Ghana revives degraded forest lands through native tree planting, supported by traditional leadership and NGOs. Native trees, we have the neem trees and other stuff. We have the neem trees, even though the neem trees are not more like they naturally grow. I would say they are I'll describe them. It's been found in Africa and Asia. So some of the native trees are not common now. So if you see people planting them to restore a forest land, it's a good solution story to tell. Now, structuring your story. Now, lead with a compelling data. You have to explain the problem and response. Add interviews, visuals if you are using TV, and on-ground reporting. That is why you need to go there, not somebody issuing a statement and you used to write a story. You need to see the evidence yourself, feel it, so that when you are writing the story, you don't just rely on what somebody has told you, but what you saw, what you felt, and what you experienced. You tell the story. So you include evidence. So I've talked about that. Now, tools and resources. We have Solution Journalism Network. I'm sure you people know about all of these things. I mean, if you use investigative tools for verification, this was part of the previous training that you did. Now, ethics and responsibility. Avoid greenwashing. Always verify claims. Verify claims. That is why you have to go beyond what they are telling you. Verify these claims. If somebody tells you that they've been able to construct 20 boreholes, go and verify. Go and count them and ensure that there are 20 boreholes and they are located exactly where the person told you they are. Now give voice to local communities. This is where solution journalism is interesting to tell. Solutions that are being found in local communities, that are being championed by the local people. It's a great it's a great story to tell. Now be transparent about limitations. Don't exaggerate. Don't add anything that you didn't see or you were not told. Yeah. Now, your role as a journalist, you are not just informing the public. You are influencing decision makers and educating communities and holding institutions accountable through hopeful and truthful reporting. That's your role as a journalist. And then this is a practice activity that you can look at. And because this is the last training, I will just say that if you want, you can go and try it alone because there are other activities that we need to do. And you find a recent biodiversity project in your country, draft a solution-focused news story outline, include source ideas, evidence to verify, and storytelling approach. So this is basically about solution journalism. Let me show you one. So we are done for this training. I told I'm going to be brief, very short, because most of the things that you've done, I mean, were very helpful. I just wanted to show you how solution journalism is different from just reporting what somebody has issued, because you need evidence, you need data, you need to know the limitation and all that. Let me just show you something brief about one of the solutions.
In the newsroom. So I believe that many of us who are journalists are quite familiar with solutions journalism. So if you have any question, here just a finished presentation. If you have any question, I think the floor is open now for you to ask for those of you who are new to solution journalism. Thank you.
Esther is back.
Hello, Esther. Welcome back. I think your network is fluctuating, I guess. Welcome back. So, Mr. Mahmud had just finished his presentation. Now, the floor is yours. Hello, Esther. Can you hear me?
Also, this is a new check because it's not everything that we're able to say when they so this is also check what
Esther, your network is really poor, and you are breaking. I can't hear you very well or clearly. If any other people can hear you, they're fine.
happened.
Forge ahead. Please, if you have a question, can you go ahead and ask? Hello, everyone.
So this is what we want to do now. I mean, if there is no any question, we can move on with the next stage. Today is gonna be our last training, and today is our fifth week. I think it's been an incredible journey, and we, like we mentioned in previous meetings, that we are going to migrate some to the Wajesha platform. The process is still ongoing. Some have been migrated, others are yet to. Some might not even be migrated at all. And so today we would conclude the migration, probably before or after the lunch. And we are using so many different metrics. I think it's AMINU mentioned the other time, aside attendance, which is key. We're also using other metrics to migrate participants to the group. And we would also be giving certificates based on something, based on another metric that we'll be using. AMINU will talk about that. We'll talk about that today, so that you get to know that once we finish the training, once we end today, you would have to meet that condition before you can be given the certificate. The reason is not even about the certificate. We've spoken about this several times, that it is not about the certification. It is about how you are branding yourself. And it will be a disgrace to the organizers if after this training you continue to be the same. And I will be surprised, or all of us will be disappointed to see that you continue to do the same stories you were doing before you joined the training, because you cannot spend 6 weeks and you won't be able to provide evidence, or you'll be able to show what you have learned in your storytelling. So all of these things will be counted. I'll allow AMINU to talk about the certification. I think he has done some work on something on that. We'll talk about that. And afterwards, we are expecting everybody who has joined today to share their experience. We are giving you 2 minutes to share your experience. Everybody is going to talk. Even if you're going to speak in French, please, you're allowed to do that, either French or English. We want you to share your experience, 2 minutes experience. Tell us what you have learned, how you think is going to help you, what you knew or what you didn't know, what you have known now, and how you feel about the entire training. So, I mean, go ahead, and afterwards, if Esther has anything to add, then we'll allow them to go ahead to talk about that. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Engineer Mahmud. Okay, let me start calling names. I want to be sure that everybody is on this call. Starting with Hadiza, I think that is the most familiar name. Hadiza, are you on this call?
Yes, sir, I am. Good evening,
So
sir.
why is everybody quiet? Where is Bushra? Bushra? Mr. Desmond Shaku, are you here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm sure Engineer Mahmoud just spoke about solution journalism. Do you understand every bit of what he has said?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I do.
Okay, okay, great. Okay, great. Amidu, Mr. Amidu, are you on this call? Kamal, Mr. Kamal, are you here?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, very well. Where is Zainab? Zainab, are you on this call, please? Mr. Ibrahim, Mr. Cooper, Bill Cooper. Okay. Did you guys just join the call and just abandon the training or what? Today is the final training, for God's sake.
Hello, I'm on, but the network is breaking.
Oh, I see. Sorry about that.
That's Bushra.
Yeah, that's Bushra. That's true. Where's Bill Cooper? Bijo. Sorry if I pronounce your name very wrongly. Where's Isa? Okay. I think some people are responding on the comment section. Okay. Mr. Kamara, okay, good, good. I can see you sent the message. Okay, that's Moshe Kuya. Okay, okay.
So because you see, afterwards, you're going to tell us the experience, like I mentioned earlier. So if you are commenting, you still have to talk.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
now today is this
basically, sir,
Nukana
Nukana from,
Nukana.
yeah, Nukana
Okay,
colleague. Yeah.
okay, great, great. Okay, great. Okay, great. It's all right. I believe everyone is here. Well, it's either you're having challenges with the network, but however, please try to move where you know that you have a stable network so that we'll be able to, understand what we're saying. So today is the 6th week of your fellowship with GJESHA, and I believe for the past couple of weeks now, you have learned a lot, I must admit. And of course, through your tasks that we have given to you. A lot of you have shown a very, it's evidence that you people have done a great job. And of course, we are assessing and evaluating you guys based on that. Now, this week, today has bring us to the final week of the training. And before the launch, of course, we are going to also give you guys the last training. The last training is going to show that you are going to produce a story. And of course, we will now prove to us that, yes, you have really understood all that has been taught you for the past 6 weeks. So, and we have a guidelines to that as regards to the, the criteria for awarding you certification at the end of this training. And your story, the assignment we're going to give you today must be original work by you. It's either going to be a multimedia content. It should be on either on JPEG, PDF, or MP4 if you're going to do a visual story. The deadline will be at least 2 weeks from now. And of course, all the fellows must complete all 5 assignments in their category to qualify for the certification. We already have the questions here. Mr. Mahmud, I'm sure you have gone through those questions.
Yes.
The final assessment assignments. Have you gone through it?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So I'm sure you guys are five groups, and of course we have designed these questions by the groups. So we will share it across the groups, and of course you will produce the stories in group again to be submitted in the next 2 weeks. And these stories, they must be on their original, not just you go and do secondary research or do a research and no. We saw the work you guys done in the couple of weeks ago from the stories you have produced. And of course, some of your story made it to publication, which is I must commend those people who have performed excellently well. And of course, those who also have done their best, at least there's still room for improvement with this last assessment. So you can go back. That's why it's for 2 weeks. You can go back, settle down, create a time and rewatch most of the presentation that was done, that was posted on the YouTube or on the platform, so that you go through them and watch again, so that it will give you the tips, more tips on how to go about doing the assessment. So we would require you to produce, let me just give you a brief of what the story, the questions are like. You may likely be asked to produce up to a 1,000 to 1,005 investigative report on maybe on a local environmental issues. Take, for instance, deforestation, waste pollution, illegal mining, which will include interviews, data analysis, and of course, potential solutions. Engineer Mahmud just talked about solution journalism. So if you must do this investigation, of course, it will include a touch of solution journalism in it. Then probably other questions will span from creating a visual infographic from environmental data set. I think you were also taught on how to use data in biodiversity. So you're going to create visuals on infographic from environmental data set like climate change impacts, air quality levels, to communicate findings to non-technical person or audience take for instance, if you are to give us, information, story to somebody who does not understand what biodiversity is, who does not understand entirely what climate change is about. So you are going to come up with an infographic from an environmental data set and communicate that to the person. So also, you may likely be asked to document how an environmental change, either positive or negative, has impacted the local community. So thereby using photos, quotes, and of course, factual evidences to produce your story, Then you also may be likely to conduct and publish a question and an answer with a scientist that or a researcher in West Africa, that he is renowned, a person who is very renowned in this field, focusing on their current work and its relevance to local communities. Also, we might test you on how to conduct a storytelling project that will highlight the experiences of at least three farmers and the challenges, opportunities they face on climate change. So these questions revolve all around the biodiversity, the training we have just concluded, or what you have just learned. And of course, you find answers to them. So that is what basically it will look like. I'm just giving you a heads up before the questions comes to you. So if you have any question, please, the floor is still open for you to ask. Is Esther here now? Esther, is your network stable?
Yes, please, I'm here. Stable now.
Okay. Oh, great. Great. Who is speaking? Is random. Mr. Bonza, are you on this call? I think. Mr. Bonza.
So I think we have Ms. Aminu.
Yeah.
So we have less than 45 minutes to begin the launching. So
okay.
What I would suggest is that let's if there's nothing to, let's go. You can move to the next stage of listening to the participants. Zainab, I think
okay.
You suggested some people, if you can share the new link to them. There is a problem with the first one we shared earlier. Please share it to them immediately so that they will not, that if they use the other one, they will not be able to. Yeah.
Okay. Engineer Mahmud, let's hear your testimony. And during the launch on, one person will be able to give remarks. But on this training, before we go, let's hear from individual perspective so far on their journey on this fellowship. So, and I'm going to start calling names. I'm still surprised why most of you are still who are not asking questions or saying something since we started the training. What's the problem? This is the final stage of this training, so let us make it interactive. Let's have conversation. Maybe your testimony will, will start that. Okay.
You can talk challenges, whatever you want to talk about. Please go ahead and talk them. Share.
Yeah. So maybe you should start by raising up your hand, or I start. Which one do we prefer? which mode do we prefer? Either I call you by name or you raise up your hand and you proceed with your testimonies. Okay, then I'll start calling names, starting from the arrangement of these participants. Mr. Amidu. Mr. Amidu, are you there? Please kindly share your experience with us so far, your journey so far on this training, on this fellowship.
2 minutes?
Just 2 minutes, please.
I'm sure this guy is doing something else.
Okay. Then Laurel. Who is Laurel? Sonovo. Laurel Sonovo, please, can you come on board? Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. Please unmute yourself and share your experience so far.
I speak in French.
Whether it is in French, you can go ahead and speak French if English is not okay. Yeah, proceed. Go ahead. Unmute yourself and speak. Just 2 minutes.
Alors, bonjour à tous, bonjour à toutes.
Bonjour.
Oui, je tiens à vous remercier pour cette belle opportunité que vous nous aviez accordée et surtout à nous les francophones d'avoir participé à cette formation pendant 6 semaines. J'avoue que j'ai beaucoup appris sur la biodiversité et je crois que mes reportages prochains seront plus méticuleux dans le rendu. J'ai appris énormément de choses et je tiens à vous dire merci.
Merci.
All right. Thank you very much. Merci. Even though I don't understand French. Okay, merci. Thank you so very much. I appreciate that. Okay, Bill Cooper, please, can you come on board and share your experience with us? What have you learned thus far since the beginning of the training?
You can talk about the challenges as well.
Yeah, of course. Feel free to tell us where we didn't get it right. You can also tell us so that in the next fellowship we'll be able to improve. Your feedback is very, very important to us, okay? Bill, Mr. Bill Cooper, Bill W. Cooper. Please come on board. Okay. Maybe he's engrossed with something or probably network is having an issue. So let me move to the next person. Bushra, Ms. Bushra Yusuf Badmus, please come on board and tell us how far your experience has been so far. I understand you complained of network earlier, but I just hope that you fix that. Bushra, can you hear me? Okay. So I jump to Desmond Shaku. Desmond?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very well. Thank you. Please share with us your testimony, your experience so far, and the challenges. Proceed.
Okay, I will love to start with my appreciation to all of you, the organizers who organized the particular fellowship. As a student journalist, I have learned a lot throughout the various sessions, more especially when it comes to the practical tools that we are expected to use in biodiversity reporting. I believe due to that, I was able to implement all of those knowledge I have gained in my journalism career. Yeah. And also for the topic today, solution journalism, which is very key to me because as an investigative journalist or a journalist, you have to ensure that when you see a problem, you narrate the story, you have to prove a solution. And I'm glad Virginia was able to analyze all of those elements that we are expected to use when it comes to solution journalism. I really commend him for that. And the only challenge I have is that it's not a challenge, it's a comment I want to make. And due to the way I behaved previously, and I believe it was very bad. Yeah, so I want to apologize for whatever thing I did during the radio station that was not good. Because as a student, I'm not supposed to be in such way. But I'm very sorry for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Desmond. Thank you so very much. Thank you, and also for acknowledging uh, that you have, it's okay. You are a student, and of course, sometimes we can be very curious or curiosity, yeah, can push out. But sometimes, when you're in a public like this, you just have to be careful because you don't know what will speak against you, you know. So it's okay. You're highly welcome. And of course, we also appreciate you for being a fellow of GJESHA. This is the maiden edition of this project. And of course, we hold you guys to a very high esteem. And of course, we look forward to working together in the nearest future as a fellow of this project. Thank you so very much. Isa, please, are you there? Come on board and, of course, share with us your experience so far since the beginning of this fellow. Isa Lowell.
Yes,
I'm sorry if
how are
I
you?
don't pronounce your name.
I hope you're hearing me.
Please go ahead.
Hello? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, and many thanks to the organizers for organizing such kind of training. I think this is something very important. To be honest, people like me, I've learned a lot during this training, but particularly our session 4, where we were trained about telling biodiversity using photos, videos, audios, and mobile tools. So, and I think to me that is one of the most interesting session that I've ever encountered during this training. And yeah, I have learned a lot during that session as somebody who focused mostly on multimedia and other stuff. Yeah, and I've learned a lot, much particularly sources when you are building techniques in biodiversity reporting and, on sources and intelligence tools used in biodiversity reporting. These are certain areas that I learned when you come to this training. And yeah, we hope that what we have learned will be applied in our daily works and also to motivate our other colleagues so that at least they can report more when it comes to biodiversity reporting. Yeah, so this is what I have learned in this training. So yeah, and it was a very interesting one. And yeah, I want to thank the organizers for organizing such kind of training. And we hope it can be used in a best way during our works. Thank you.
Thank you, Isa. Thank you so very much. I think that's so pleasing to hear. And I'm happy that you mentioned you are going to apply it in your daily work. That's cool. Of course, like I did mention just now that we still have a lot to do together in no distance future. So I just try to, do your best. We'll still meet again soonest. Yeah. HADIZA, MUSAH, please.
I wanted to ask something, Isa. I wanted to ask whether, I think I would have to ask everybody about this because how many friends have you made so far? Can you come back and tell me the number of friends you've made through this training?
Okay.
If you can mention.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It will be nice, even if you can come back. If you have spoken before, I think you can drop it in the comment section.
Yeah, just tell us their
So
name.
Yeah, okay. Let us drop that in the comment section. For me, I have met Amidou. You know, he's from Senegal, and Senegal and the Gambia have bordered together. So it means, for example, the biodiversity that is, affecting the Gambia, mostly it affects Senegal. So that's why I've been communicating with Amidou rather, concerned about, biodiversity stuff and, Senegal itself, because we and Senegal, we border together.
Okay.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
You see, that is the purpose of this training too, where we will be able to network, we get to know each other from respective West African countries, not just West African. I think the people on this call, West African countries, so to speak. So it's a good thing that we've been able to connect to each other. We'll be able to network with each other so that in the future we can equally collaborate, in producing stories, cross-border stories. So this is the beauty of this kind of fellowship. Thank you so very much. Now, Kamal, okay, Hadiza Musa, please can you come on board and also share your story with us? Hadiza Musa.
I'm here, sir. Good evening, sir.
Okay, very well.
Yes, sir. Okay. If there's one thing I would say right now is I feel learned and inspired. Because before during our first week, after the selection, and we were told that it's going to be a free fellowship, and I was like, free? Where will I get data, like, and all that? But then I said, what is worth doing is worth doing well. And after the first week, I was hooked. And then I realized that this is something I don't usually see. Biodiversity issues are something I don't see as a journalist. I've never reported or attended any training, seminar, or conference related to biodiversity. This is my first biodiversity training, and it has opened my eyes in a lot of ways, like a lot of ways that if I start mentioning them, that I can just literally be walking and I'll be like, where is this thing? Where is this tree or something like that? So yeah. In during the lectures and all, the lectures have been engaging actually from the first week down to this solution journalism. It has actually been hooked, attention grabbing, and I did learn a lot. Example, before I wasn't active on social media. I have almost all the social media accounts, but I don't use them. I just feel like it's kind of stressful for me to post and all that. But after the third week, is it the third or fourth week? We did a training for how to tell stories using data, and as 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 small as even our mobile phone and our social media. So that was when I went back to reactivate my TikTok account. I went back and started using LinkedIn, and yes, so the training has been an eye opener for me. Thank you very much to all the people that made it possible.
Thank
And I've
you.
made like 3 friends already from this training.
Wow. Oh, that's great. That's great. Thank you so much, Hadiza. I think this is a very positive.
Friends from which countries? And if we could know their names.
Honestly, they are from Nigeria.
Okay. Okay.
But during our week, my group work, I also have a colleague we interacted, and she's not from Nigeria. So yes, I can include her also. Thank you.
Okay. That's great. Thank you. That's actually a very positive feedback. And of course, we are happy that you have learned a lot. You have learned new things. Like you said, you never came across what biodiversity is. And through this series of lectures, you've been able to, learn new things, which is now have not prepared you to write story on that beat. If tomorrow you are called by your editor, can you work on a story on biodiversity? You cannot beat your chest. Say, oh yeah, with this training, I'm confident that I can produce a story on biodiversity. So I want to say congratulations to all of you, and of course, we're happy to hear such a feedback. Thank you. Okay, the next person is Ibrahim Babangidalawa. Ibrahim, please, can you come on board and, of course, share your experience with us? How your journey has been with the fellowship. Ibrahim, can you hear me? Please unmute yourself. Okay. If Ibrahim is not there, then Kamal Oladele Ahmed. Mr. Kamal.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, this is Kamal from the Shield Online. My experience has been wonderful. It's been a spectacular training so far. All the sessions, I would say, they've been very fantastic, right from the beginning till this very moment. And I want to commend the organizers. I want to really appreciate the effort, the thought, the vision and mission that you have that made you to come up with this training, especially at this particular time, looking at the relevance of these issues. So I really, really appreciate what you've done so far. And then personally, I would also like to seek for pardon on those areas maybe we fall short of your expectations. So we not, especially for me, not because we do not value what you're doing. And if you look at it, I've been trying as much since the beginning not to miss any of the session, no matter what. Even with some of the things I had to go through, especially for since like the past week, I lost someone so dear to me. Just after that, my wife also had a baby. So it's been a mixed feeling here and there. And to God be the glory, it's been so wonderful. And I would say that you've simplified and demystified this whole concept of biodiversity. When the training started, yes, I had this, this concern, reservation. Will it be something I will be able to really understand? Looking at, sometimes some people who want to take sessions like this, that will make it more complicated. But to be honest, you've simplified the knowledge and you've made it very, very interesting. Some of the sessions I can say that really, really, I found so interesting, from the investigative journalism, how to do investigative journalism with biodiversity. That particular session, I enjoyed it so much. And one thing I also learned also from the that of using the tool for to report using data, and as well as the session on recording using our mobile tools, phones, to do stories. One thing I learned from that particular session, which will always resonate with me, is resilience. The facilitator mentioned how he was on the road, and because he did not want to miss the session, he still delivered a wonderful, training to us, despite the situation it was at that moment. And I always remember that as well, that no matter what it is, you have to just make sure you are resilient and you are showing up and you are trying your best to do what is expected of you. So as the training is ending, the only thing I will just also mention is that I expected also that like this mock rack and some other things that were told at the beginning, I know that it's been very, it's been a lot of work on your side too. But if we could have a session like that on how we could, some of us that do not have good presence in many of these vital platforms, on these platforms like the mock crack, like other things, how we can, at least set up our own profiles too. It will be highly appreciated. So on this note, I say thank you so much. And I pray Almighty God bless you for this, for the knowledge you have imparted on us. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Kama, thank you so very much. First of all, I want to say, personally accept my condolences for the for the person you lost, and of course, also congratulations that your wife has put to bed. Sorry, two things happening at the same time. Sad and at the same time joy. So we are very sorry about that. And of course, I urge every participant fellow here to share in his pain and of course in his joy with Mr. Kamal. And of course, for the wonderful feedback you gave us, thank you so very much. We're really happy. And of course, in no distant future, like I said, most of you here will be migrated to a platform. And that platform, we are going to be interacting very often. Like I did mention during my training, the investigative part of the lecture or training is inexhaustive. So we are going to continue to have interaction and of course series of training on investigation. So by the time we move there, like I know I didn't talk much about the tools or how to demonstrate on how to use the tools, but I have it in mind that by the end of the training, by the time we are all moved to the Wajesha platform, of course, we have more to learn about investigation. So that being said, I want to thank you once again very much for your patience and for the resilience. For the resilience till the end of the training. Thank you and thank you. So the keynote speaker for the launch is also here, and I would like to recognize his presence, Mr. Kiran. You are welcome.
Sorry, can I just say it? I am Richard Mahapatra.
Oh, okay. Thank you so very much. Sorry about
I'm joining
that.
from New Delhi.
Oh, New Delhi. You're highly welcome. What is the situation report in New Delhi today? In brief.
Oh, today is our Independence Day, and
wow.
late night in New Delhi. So it's past 10.
Oh, congratulations then. It's nice to hear that today is the anniversary. Thank you, sir. You're welcome on board.
Hello.
Yeah, Amido, I think I'll come back to you. We've called you over and over. You were not, maybe you're having trouble with your network, but give me a little time. I may come back to you again. Thank you. Yeah. So we just have to quickly speed up, then we'll give a room to the keynote speaker to say one or two things to us before we leave. So Mr. Jonathan Jackson, please, can you come on board and 2 minutes and share with us your journey so far during this fellowship? Mr. Commey Jonathan Jackson. Okay, if you are not there, then Mudupe.
No, this I think they were joining because of the lines.
I'm sorry. I'm out of mind.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Good afternoon. Good day. I want to greet everyone. Yeah.
So you can
2 minutes. Share your experience so far during this fellowship.
AMINU, I think he's joining for the lunch. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, I joined because I want to be part of the fellowship because I has been following the messages. And
okay.
that is why I joined. Yes.
Just hold on,
Yes.
just hold on, just hold on. Please kindly mute your speaker. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, we will get to that. Yeah. Okay. Zainab, please, can you come on board and share your experience so far?
Please permit
Zainab,
me to use the chat box.
say again.
Please let me use the chat box.
Okay, the chat box. Okay, very well.
Yes.
Okay, then has who else?
King Kamara.
Okay, Kamara. Where's Kamara? Please come on board. Then we'll have Tofik, right?
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Good evening, everyone.
Hello, good evening. You're welcome.
I am Mohamed Kamara from Guinea. I'm
Okay.
very happy to participate in this 6 weeks session.
Oh,
I
nice.
learned a lot about the environment and biodiversity. I thank the organizers, the trainers, our fellow journalists, and everyone. Thank you very much. I'm very sorry because I'm francophone. Okay.
Go ahead and explain. Go ahead and
It's
If my
okay.
English is bad, I'm sorry.
No,
I'm a
it's not bad.
francophone.
Go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you. I'm very happy.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Mohammed Slam, for joining the fellowship and, of course, sharing your positive feedback with us. We're also happy, and we believe that what you have learned so far, you are going to apply it on your daily activities in the field of journalism. Thank you. Is
Thank you.
Zainab there? Tawfiq? Because people are already joining for the launch, I think...
Okay, can you hear me?
Okay, please proceed.
I think, first of all, I would say that thanks to the Almighty Allah for giving us life, and thank Him also for this opportunity. And then a very big thank you to the organizers for this wonderful platform for some of us to also learn something about biodiversity. Actually, I started practicing as a journalist for the past 4 years, and I think that this particular workshop or this particular training has broadened my knowledge as a journalist, that we shouldn't always focus on what the people want us to report on. Here, I mean, maybe politicians telling us what to do, but there is other avenue that we can all explore to inform decision or to inform policymakers that this area there is a gap that we need to, fill. So I think this training has really helped me, although I've not been able to be active as I expected to do because of other circumstances beyond my control. First of all, what I would say is that last week, this tragic incident that occurred in Ghana, one of the victims was a very close person of mine. It really, hit me a lot. So I'm trying to, this workshop has really helped me. And then I've started making inquiries to write something about marine, something about marine, this thing about biodiversity. So I think this will go a long way to, shape us. And I think the network that some of us have created will help us to learn more after this training. So a very big thank you to the organizers, to my very own boss, Mohammed-Nurudeen. I've not been a very good person to you, but inshallah it will make sense, and I'll make you proud, and I'll make sure that this knowledge will not go in vain. So thank you once again for this opportunity.
Yeah, all right. Thank you so very much, Mr. Taufik. And sorry about your loss. I can understand that when things happen, it can really disrupt our activities. And I believe that is one of the things have really made you not to be consistent with your fellowship activities. But it's okay. Thank you very much for the apology. And I think you are going to wear a new leaf now after today. So you're welcome, and we're happy that you are still part of the team. Thank you. Very quickly, let me follow it with Zainab, because she says probably maybe her network is not good. She wrote that she being a climate advocate, this is the first time she has heard and learned about biodiversity in detail. I was moderating a panel yesterday, and when I asked the panelists on what youths need to do beyond what youth need to do beyond aid. Someone was talking about livestock, and I made him understand that he's speaking in the right direction, because biodiversity encompasses all living creatures on Earth. This training really refined my knowledge on biodiversity. I made friends as well, especially HADIZA and Bushra. I wish other environmental journalists get such training to equip themselves. Okay. And my challenges is the area of network connectivity, the timing, and the last website shared with us to check about a gender species. I couldn't navigate well on the site. The details I am seeing is for global species, which is not peculiar to my region. For that reason, I still have a pending assignment. I and HADIZA are now connected. All right, thank you so very much, Zainab. That was a wonderful feedback from you. Thank you so very much for being part of the fellowship. And of course, I think you are one of the fellow who had produced a very wonderful story on biodiversity. So we are really, really happy for that feat. Thank you. And as for the website, I think we'll look into it again, and of course, share the right link with every participant. Thank you very much. Mr. Engineer Mahmud, you have something to say?
No. I think we are almost, time is almost up for us to start the second part of the program. But we have Bill and AMINU and Koli left. If they can quickly do that, and then we'll begin the second part. We have just
okay, AMINU. Okay, very well. Then AMINU, come on board, just 1 minute. Yeah. Now this is we have a few minutes to go to the starting of the launch of Wajesha. So please, you need to make it very snappy so that we proceed. We can see that a lot of people are joining the launch now, so that we do it very quickly. Thank you. Go ahead,
Okay.
AMINU.
Okay, sir. Good afternoon, everyone.
You can speak
Good afternoon.
I'm AMINU Joro from Senegal. You said that Senegal is a French-speaker country.
So go ahead.
But I want just to say thank you. This training help the journalists that we are understand the importance of nature and how it's connected to climate change. We learned how to tell stories to inspire people to take action. Journalists became more aware of the impact of human activities on the environment and the need to protect it. This training was important because journalists play a big role in shaping public opinion and influencing decision makers by teaching them about biodiversity and climate change. We can help create a more informed and engaged public. I'm so proud of what we achieved and look forward to seeing the impact of this training in the future. So thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. AMINU, and I'm very proud of you. Despite the fact that you are from Francophone country, you've been able to, navigate in speaking English very fluently. Thank you so very much, and of course, thank you for being part of the fellow. So we don't have much time. Mr. Bill, if Mr. Bill is here, maybe 1 minute, please. Can you also share your experience with us, Mr. Bill?
After Bill, Koli can continue. In order so that we can finish it here.
Okay, Koli.
Yeah, thank you. Are you getting me?
Yeah, of course we can hear you. Please proceed.
I'm sorry for the voice. My name is Mukana Koli. I join you from Liberia. First of all, I want to say thanks to the organizing team for this fellowship. I'm so grateful. It is my first time benefiting from biodiversity training. I have benefited from solution journalism training before, so it is an added advantage. And I listened to the last presentation, was very great. So I want to be grateful to the team, and I want to recommend in the future that you can, lobby in the future with some partners to have the fellows, in person training will be very great, because in some of the regions, people are challenged with the issue of internet connectivity. People currently at work, others are in transit, and it's just challenging, coming to the training in time. So in the future, we're hoping that the team can work on that so that you can also have future fellows in person, to have in-person training that will be more effective. For me personally, from Liberia, I am going to make use of this. I have not been focusing on biodiversity reporting. I've been engaged in climate change reporting and talking about agriculture development reporting, but with specific focus on biodiversity. No, so I think this training is a gateway for me. I would be now, in the vanguard of focusing more on biodiversity as well as the other areas that I've been focusing on. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Nukana Koli. Thank you for being part of the fellowship. And of course, we are grateful for your positive feedback. And of course, the challenges, of course, we will work together to achieve a lot in the future. Thank you. Who else is left? Engineer Mahmud.
That's all.
Who is Bill? What of Bill?
Bill didn't talk. Bill, go ahead, please. You're speaking in English or French. Any of them, you can go ahead. Bill? Oh.
Okay. If he has anything to say, maybe he could just drop it at the comment section while we try to reopen the launch platform. Is it the same platform we're using?
Yes.
Or we're migrating to?
Yeah, the same platform.
Okay, the same platform. Okay. Okay. Esther, please. Is Esther here? I want to formally hand over to you before the start of the Wajesha launch. And I want to thank everybody again for all your feedbacks. They are very wonderful. And
I think I am left. I am left.
Jonathan?
Yes.
Okay, please just, I think we have 1 minute. Say something to us. Let's know how was your experience thus far?
All right. In the first place, let me just introduce myself. Jonathan Jackson Commey. I stay in Sierra Leone, in a province. Actually, I joined the meeting late, and I've been following the messages, and then also the conversation. I just want to share a brief example, because I'm a journalist in Sierra Leone. member of SLAJ, Sierra Leone Association of Journalists, and I have been reporting about climate change and this biodiversity. I've gotten a certificate from Farm Radio International through this program, this biodiversity. So anyway, I'm going to follow as you go along with the program to know how best I can also learn from this forum, and then how best we as journalists in Sierra Leone is also going to cascade and know how best we can, portray the message to people about biodiversity. Of course, biodiversity means life, and how we can protect those lives when it comes in terms of this climate change. So I have a lot of experience, vast knowledge in terms of climate change and biodiversity. Yes.
All right. All right. Thank you, Mr. Jonathan. I think, thank you. Welcome to Wajesha Launch platform now. I believe you don't know before now, we are just trying to round up a training on biodiversity for our fellows. And of course, it happens that the launch of Wajesha platform is happening today, and that's why you're joining in now. Thank you. You are welcome on board. So kindly mute yourself, and of course, wait patiently for the event as it unveils. Thank you. Engineer Mahmud, do you have anything to say before we start? I think we have to start now, as soon as maybe 5 minutes. We will give 5 minutes time for other people to join. But on this note now, I would like to formally hand over to Ms. Esther, who shall moderate the launch of Wajesha, West African journalist for environment, science, health, and agriculture. Thank you very much. Esther, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll be having various speakers today. They'll be taking us through various sessions. They'll educate us more on biodiversity and how, as journalists, we are supposed to give news and infos in regards to our environment, science, health, agriculture, anything relating to nature, then science. They'll be giving us education on how to go about it as journalists, so that we won't just be like our previous speakers have advised us. You didn't just go and pick up someone's story, then try to change something in it and just present, but then you can go do your own research and bring the information to light for the people around to also get such updates. So we have speakers like Mr. Richard Mahapatra, then there is Mr. Asani Diop, then we also have Dr. Mrs. Beatrice Wiafe Adai. All these people will be speaking to us tonight. So we'll be having opening remarks to be given by Mr. Engineer Mahmud Mohammed-Nurudeen. He will be giving us the opening remarks for today.
Thank you very much. Good evening, distinguished guests, media colleagues, friends, and partners across West Africa. On behalf of the Center for Climate Change and Food Security, I warmly welcome you all to the official launch of Wajesha, the West African Journalist for Environment, Science, Health, and Agriculture. Today is a proud moment, not just for Center for Climate Change and Food Security, but for every journalist across West Africa, for every researcher and truth seeker who believes that good journalism can change lives. So Wajesha was born out of a simple but urgent reality that millions of lives across the West African sub-region are being affected by climate change, pollution, poor health system, and food security. Yet these stories remain underreported, misunderstood, or even ignored in many instances. We ask ourselves, if journalists don't tell these stories, who will? And if we don't support one another across borders, how can we solve cross-border challenges? Wajesha is a platform built to unite and empower journalists who are passionate about using science, facts, and local voices to shape public policy and public understanding. Through Wajesha, we are creating a safe space for journalists from Ghana, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Liberia, the Gambia, Senegal, and all West African countries to connect, learn, and grow together. Let me take this opportunity to highlight something that makes this moment even more meaningful. Today, we have completed week 6 of our intensive training for over 30 journalists across West Africa on biodiversity reporting. This is part of Center for Climate Change and Food Security non-profit journalism initiative, GJESHA, with a strong focus on Ghanaian journalists, carried out in partnership with the North Journals in Nigeria. Initially, our plan was to conduct on-the-ground practical training in Ghana with field visit expert sessions and direct reporting simulations, but the funding we applied for and thought it could help us organize the physical training did not materialize. We were told after an interview that we could not be funded because we had never received any international funding before. Yes, our honesty once again became our disqualification because we indicated that we never received any international funding since 2015. So we were disqualified. But we said, sharing knowledge and expertise cannot wait. So we went ahead anyway. We opened the opportunity to West African journalists and shifted the training online. And today, Wajesha exists because we did not let the rejection stop us. We would like to extend our deepest thanks to the Center for Science and Environment in India, who generously provided us with expert trainings free of charge. We are also grateful to individual journalists and supporters who volunteered their time and expertise to mentor others. Unfortunately, every other organization we wrote to either declined or simply never responded to our letters. This is sad, not because we expected handouts, but because because it reflects a growing disconnection between global institutions and grassroots initiatives like ours. When capable organizations doing real work at the community level are ignored because they do not have funding history, the development world loses its soul. Our vision remains simple: to build a network of science-based storytellers who believe that truth must guide development. Our mission is even clearer: to raise a new generation of journalists who report not just for headlines, but for impact. To all journalists here, this is your platform. Use it to tell the stories that matter. Use it to expose injustice and to uplift science and to amplify voices from remote villages and crowded cities alike. Together, we will ensure that science journalism is not a luxury, but a necessity in West Africa. To our partners, supporters, and all the journalists who join our maiden edition of the online training and the entire Wajesha team, thank you for your courage and resilience. At Wajesha, we are not just going to be writing stories, we are going to write the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Engineer Mahmud. We are very grateful for your opening remarks. We'll be having a 3-minute remarks from fellow HADIZA Musa. Miss HADIZA Musa, please, if you are here, we are ready for your remarks. You can kindly unmute yourself and give us your remarks. Thank you very much.
All right. Good evening, distinguished guests, organizers, mentors, facilitators, and my fellow participants. My name is HADIZA Musa Yusuf. I report for the Primetime News in Nigeria. On behalf of all the fellows of the Made in Ghana Journalists for Environment, Science, Health and Agriculture, GJESHA Biodiversity Fellowship, I want to sincerely thank the Center for Climate Change and Food Security and the North Journal for this wonderful opportunity. When we started this journey 5 weeks ago, some of us, including myself, had never participated in any biodiversity training or written a single biodiversity report. Personally, I had no background in this field, and to be honest, I wasn't sure what to expect. But through your mentorship and guidance, week after week, I found myself learning new things I had never imagined I would understand, let alone apply in my work as a journalist. And I believe my fellow participants would agree. The fellowship was not without challenges. One of the major limitations we faced was the fact that it was not sponsored, which sometimes made participation demanding. Also, the fellowship was conducted purely in English, which made participation harder for some non-English speaking fellows. But despite that, we showed commitment, and the organizers ensured that the training still met a high standard. The knowledge we have gained is invaluable. We are grateful to our mentors and facilitators from Nigeria, India, Ghana, and various parts of the world who shared their time, expertise, and passion with us. We thank Center for Science and Environment for providing a dedicated trainers free of charge. We thank you, Dr. Vibha Vashni, Head Biodiversity and Food Unit, Center for Science and Environment, and Rajit Gupta, Associate Director with the Down to Earth magazine in New Delhi. Your sessions were engaging, practical, and inspiring. Some of our members have already produced biodiversity stories during this fellowship, something that shows real impact of your mentorship. Beyond the knowledge, this program has built connection between journalists from different countries in West Africa. We now have a network of people who can work together to raise awareness about biodiversity, climate change, and environmental conservation in our respective communities. As we conclude, we look forward to applying what we have learned, both in our reporting and in how we approach the issues affecting our environment. On behalf of all the fellows, I say a big thank you once again to the organizers, mentors, facilitators, and everyone who made this fellowship possible. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so very much, HADIZA. Thank you for that remarks. HADIZA is one of our fellow. They just concluded a fellowship by GJESHA, and of course, she has been outstanding during her fellowship. So thank you for that wonderful speech on behalf of the entire fellows. Thank you. Okay, while Esther is away because of her network, I'll quickly fill in the gap until she comes back. The next on the agenda of the program launch is a presentation, Wajesha in context, the goals, structure, and of course, future plans, which is going to be presented in 15 minutes by Mr. AMINU ADAMU. So, good evening, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and our fellows. My name is AMINU ADAMU. I am the managing editor of the North Journals. We welcome you all onto this launch, maiden edition of the launch of Wajesha, Many of you might be wondering what is Wajesha is all about. Of course, Wajesha is a regional professional network uniting journalists across West Africa. And our mission is to strengthen reporting on environment, science, health, and agriculture for sustainable development. Why now? Why are we calling for Wajesha now? The reason is that these sectors are critical to West Africa's growth and well-being. Journalists across West Africa need capacity. We need resources and collaboration to make impact in the region. Our core goals is to promote high-quality journalism, which are evidence-based, accurate, and of course, impactful reporting. Capacity building by training, mentorship, and workshop for journalists. Collaboration across border by joint investigation projects across African countries, and also through advocacy for press freedom in order to protect and promote independent journalism. Also create public awareness by translating complex science, health, and agricultural issues for the public to know. Now, what is the structure of Wajesha? The structure of West Africa Journalists for Environment, Science and Health and Agriculture is we have various organs, and these organs are as follows, starting from the governing organs, which constitute the General Assembly that is responsible for supreme decision-making body. And of course, we are going to have executive committee that is going to be manned by the president, vice president by region, secretary general, treasurer, and also PRO. Then we have thematic working groups that constitute environment, science, health, and agriculture. And of course, country chapters that coordinate activities locally. Then also, we will have a high expert body like the advisory body that include experts and veteran journalists providing guidance for the activities of Wajesha. Our membership structure encompasses full members that will include practicing journalists in Wajesha's focus areas, associate members that are researchers, academics, and media trainers. Then also institutional members include media houses, journalism schools, and non-governmental organizations. Then lastly, we have honorary members that recognize, these are the recognized contributors to the profession of journalism. Key achievements so far. We have been able to draft constitutional and governance framework developed, establish partnerships with regional and global organizations like Engineer Mahmud mentioned earlier, and we have been able to conduct our pilot training workshops, which ended today, 6-week fellowship training for journalists across West Africa in investigative environmental journalism. We have built a growing network of journalists in over 10 West African countries. That's our feat so far. What's our year one program highlights include regional investigative journalism fellowship, country-level capacity building workshops, annual Wajesha conference, publication of the Wajesha report quarterly journal, cross-border investigations into climate, health, and of course, food security issues. Now, our 2 years from now, our 2 years plans, which is the future plan, we want to be able to secure funding and grants for sustainability of the projects and programs, and of course, expand country chapters to all ECOWAS states, and of course, launch online learning platform for journalists. Then in 3 years to come, or 3 years to 5 years, which constitute our long-term plan, Wajesha Media Hub for collaborative projects. And of course, we tend to have our annual West African Science and Health Journalism Awards, and also establish Wajesha Foundation for research funding. Who are our strategic partners? We want to collaborate with media organizations, both local and of course international, research institutions and universities, develop agencies, and of course non-governmental organizations. Our partnership goals include knowledge exchange, resources, mobilization, and of course joint projects with these partners. Now, call to action. We call on every stakeholder across West Africa, journalists, the various institutions to join Wajesha's mission to support our capacity building for journalists, partner with us to ensure credible, impactful, and solutions-oriented journalism in West Africa. The future of West African sustainable development lies in how well we tell our stories in environment, science, health, and of course, agriculture. In conclusion, this is the structure, goals, and of course, the future plans of Wajesha. I thank you all.
So next on our list, we'll be having, that's on our schedule, we are having one of our hosts to present to us after Mr. AMINU is done talking now. So one of our hosts will be presenting to us. Talking on the topic, the role of investigative journalism in advancing environmental justice in the Global South. So we have our speaker in the person of Mr. Richard Mahapatra. I hope I've mentioned the name correctly. He is the managing editor, Down to Earth CSC Indian. He will be our speaker for this topic we are going to have currently. So, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Richard, please, if you are ready, we are waiting for you to give us your speech on the topic.
Before I begin, I think congratulations for the launch of Wajesha. That's a West African journalist for environment, science, health, and agriculture. I think that sounds really very relevant and should have been done long before. We are journalists, I think, reporting on environment, science, health, and agricultures. That's actually, we are reporting on the planet itself. These are not differentiated subjects that journalists have to report on. When they report on environment or science or health or agriculture, basically they report about the planet as it is currently. And that's all. So congratulations for having actually getting together on a platform. Having said that, and we are grateful that the Center for Science and Environment and Down to Earth have been actually been invited and to this occasion, and we can share our experiences, what we are doing in South Asia and India, and I think we are similar. Now, coming to the role of investigative journalism in advancing, environmental justice in the Global South. Global South, we know. Let me clear from the beginning. This is the time in the planet where actually everything local is global and everything global is local. Climate is changing. If climate changes, everything changes. And the planet is going through a unprecedented change in its climate. And I just to put it in a historical perspective, maybe I can take you back to that out of Africa migration. There's the time when the climate in the planet actually changed dramatically, triggering the migration of people. And how this, we know that we all are ancestral Africans, whether in Asia, Africa, or America, or Europe, or anywhere. So climate is very critical. And we are getting to actually now report on this. And what do we do this? The big word of environmental justice. How do you actually put the journalist like us? We are supposed to report and write and inform people. And this is how the things are to happen. Just to put it in perspective, environment is not just about environment is about the complete Asia and Africa, like India and Ghana, or any other Western African countries. The ecology. So when we say we half of the world's populations, context it's 1/4 of the planet. Environmental justice is not just the role of investigative journalism in Asia. We are in a world where the climate changes, everything changes. Well, for it, historically, we still don't emit even a fraction of an American. But that's where the justice question comes. And that's where actually the global fight is all about. Many of us have been reporting about climate change, the climate negotiations, the commitments and all these things. But everything said and done, what do we do? Justiciable world, the planet was a heavy price for a do investigate. So taking this actually a West African citizen, a American are different when it comes to the crime of climate change. An American citizen is much more to fight climate change. Indian citizens is less prepared, even though it has not committed the crime. So the investigations and what we have to report more, very fundamental is that, how the global South is a victim. That's precisely what we have been doing also. Look at Africa, Asia. The number of extreme weather events, the number of climatic events actually impacting our economy, our life, and our livelihood, it's much more. It's not to say that anybody is actually, insured from this impact of climate change. For that matter, all the developed countries, including America, is paying a price for it. It's there, but they have much more capacity, and they are the committer. They are the criminals of first order. So that's the first one. Second, it's actually an opportunity now to actually say that climate change is a planetary problem. Emergency that's hitting us. But it's also undergoing. Whether you have committed the crime or contributed to the crime or not, it doesn't matter anyway. We all are victims of that, and we are reporting. So one way, every local story is a global story that we are now telling. And every is also a local story. So in the conference of parties to the United Nations UN FFC or the climate negotiations happenings, how much they are committing to adaptations or how much they are committing to loss and damage funds, it might sounds very global things, but those are actually of utmost local investigate that. I think the big investigation is how much actually the world is going through the how the north and the south actually behaving. Whether the north, the culprits are giving us enough to compensate for the impacts on the southern or the global south, which is not the culprit or the criminal in this act. So that's the first one to invest. As we fight our climate change impacts, the global south or the developing countries or the poor countries and everything is more dependent on climate than any other economies, particularly the developed economies. We are an agrarian world. Our economy every moment depends on the climate. So we are the first victim of climate change. Now the question comes, the erratic weathers, the erratic climate impact us also lead loss and damages. Agriculture is no more a predictable vocation. Unfortunately, majority of the global south depend on agriculture. So now the question is that how investigation point here is that the global agreement on loss and damage is there. But you must have world is going through an unheard of debt crisis. West Africa, Asia, or developing countries, actually, we are spending much more on paying the interest on the debt or the loans that we have taken over than on health and any other development angles or the sectors. Forget about the climate change related loss and damage. Climate change is actually adding to this. We are losing more and more, and it's adding to our debt. Who is going to help us around this? So that's the second point of investigation. How an indebted world in this debt crisis, the global south is going to depend. Whether it's Ghana or any other West African countries or any African countries or any developing countries, how much debt I am actually adding due to climatic reasons, the loss and damages, and how much money I'm spending on servicing the loans, that's like paying the interest, and where this interest is going, and at what cost, because I'm cutting down on my health spending, on development spending, and meet my loss and damages annual budgets due to climate change. So that's the second point of things. Investigations. What do we need to do? You must have heard about this carbon credit. What is this carbon credit that's turning out to be? And why again for this carbon credit? No, it's not a mechanism to bring down emissions. It's basically a mechanism to allow, and some few countries have to. And I'll just trade that. And how to trade that? You come to Asia, you come to what do you? It should say that I will continue, just need some trading. So you just give me some money. I think the biggest scam around the world, in our respective country, we need to investigate, which is that carbon credit program that's been in, how it is benefiting me. I think most of you already know that, whether the chula, the smokeless chula, or a change in the, simple agriculture, it's as simple as adapting practices being traded for carbon. And even when you trade for carbon, you are allowing the criminals to keep on emitting. Second point of actually emit. we all know that global agreement have a cap on emissions. That's called the carbon budget. It's right over that carbon budget. How much I am actually allowing the developed to develop all changing climate up justice mean. Environmental justice basically means is that it's the intergenerational rights. My next generation same entitlement, very ecological economy, including Africa and Asia. We are survival. We are equal. Our economy, our survival, everything depends on ecology. And when you come to the environmental justice, environmental degradation should be fought. The climate change impact, which as we all know, and we have been emphasizing on this, is that disproportionately poor and the developing countries, like in Asia and Africa. So a journalist, I think, and as I told you, so I ended up saying that, the role of the investigative journalism each year is to basically, at the time of changing climate, is to mount at the 3 points. Environmental justice, basically how the climate change is impacting us, the global south, that should be reported, investigated. Second, the mechanism to fight climate change. There are multiple, like mitigations, adaptations, and also the whole thing about carbon credit and all these things. That should be investigated a lot, whether that's helping or not. And the third point is that now reporting local is reporting global. Every local story is a global story now at this changing climate. And every local investigative stories on why somebody is suffering more from drought or famine, why some region is more on the food insecurity, itself is a global story, because climate is a global story to be told. So that's all about that I wanted to end with. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Richard. We are grateful for your presentation. So next on our list, we have another guest speaker. He is the head of communications. He is in the person of Mr. Commey, and he will be presenting on the topic, the role of scientific research in strengthening climate and environmental journalism in West Africa. So, Mr. Commey, if you are here, please, you can go ahead with your speech. Thank you.
All right, my sister, thank you very much. And I hope you can clearly hear me.
Yes, please. We can hear you clearly.
All right. I wanted to do a short PPT slides, but it's fine. I can still present without it. I hope to be as succinct as possible. So once again, like you've introduced, my name is Commey, and I am responsible for communication at WASCAL. So for the uninitiated, I would quickly talk about WASCAL because for what Wajesha, I just hope I got the name right, Wajesha is doing is in the interest of West Africa, and WASCAL is also in the interest of West Africa. So when we say WASCAL, WASCAL basically means West African Science Service Center on Climate Change and Adapted Land Use. We are an intergovernmental organization with specialization in climate research and climate capacity building, as well as climate services. Our headquarters is based here in Accra, and we are scattered across West Africa. What we do principally is to work with government policymakers, because this was an organization that was established by government of West Africa together with European partners. So at the helm of affairs, we have the Ministerial Council made up of the various line ministers who are responsible for climate change, higher education, and then environment. Since the headquarters is here in Ghana, the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology is the permanent vice chair for the Ministerial Council. And it's sad, the line minister for MEST happens to be our vice chair. It's sad we've lost him, and so we are still in the state of shock, and we are mourning him. We've paid our courtesy call to the family, and we are still mourning with the family. So may his gentle soul rest in perfect peace. So that is what we do. Like I said, we are scattered across West Africa, and our capacity building mandate, we offer full scholarship to West African climate scientists at the PhD level as well as at the master's level. So we have 17 various programs we run, and we run the full-scale climate change programs. So for instance, when you go to KNUST, we have our full scholarship program in climate change and adapted land use. And we offer 100% scholarship in partnership with Germany. So we have our students go to Germany for 6 months to do their internship and research. And you go to a place like Senegal University, Sheikh Anta Diop, you go and study climate change and economics. You go all the way to Cabo Verde, you study climate change and marine science. And the list goes on and on. So it's both green hydrogen and then climate change. So for those who are much interested in this, we run this annually, and when the call comes, the one which may be of interest to wonderful people like journalists is our climate change and education. So for that course, it's based in the University of the Gambia, where we train PhD students in areas on how to communicate and educate West Africans on issues pertaining to climate change. We can say so far we've trained close to 700 West Africans, and currently we are running about our 6th batch, going to our 7th batch. So not to bore you, you can always read more on our website, and you can also get in touch in case you need more information. So tonight, I would briefly be talking about the role of scientific research in strengthening climate change and environmental journalism in West Africa. And I want to commend the organizers for this wonderful initiative. And usually I get very excited when I come across a group of journalists, because I've been practicing communication for almost 20 years now. And I feel a part of journalists because my training, I was trained in all of mass communication from the School of Communications, University of Ghana. So I have journalism, print, broadcast, advertising, public relations. So, and I've been practicing PR for close to 20 years. And on a daily basis, I have to be writing stories, either a journalistic story or a PR story. So I actually feel like one of you. And I can even see some names that are very familiar to me already, because on a daily basis, we work with some of them. So this presentation, it's not between you and I, it's for all of us. And I just hope that it's as conversational as possible. And I want to share, I've been acting in this role as a comms person for WASCAL for the past 10 years. And I would want to briefly talk about the experience I have gained as far as climate communication is concerned, and even working with working with journalists and the experiences that I have come across. Okay, so we are talking about climate change, and perhaps let us begin where the earth actually itself speaks for itself. And we can always hear in the crack fields where we don't feel the rains again, or the rains come at a quantity we do not actually like. So it is either we are experiencing extreme weather conditions of either drought or floods. And these affect the various people that we work with: fishermen at the shores, farmers in the farms, and it continues. And I know as journalists, we all know the challenges that climate change poses. Within the international security framework, we used to say that security has got to do with protecting borders with arms and with your army. But in widening and deepening international security, we have come to realize that climate change has become a global security threat. And so referring to people as terrorists is now a thing of the past, because we can refer to climate change as a terrorist and the number one terrorist in the world. Now, we can also attest to the fact that we are faced with so much challenges. And here in West Africa, where climate change touch can be both sudden and slow burning, journalism must be more than just recorder of events. So the need or the time for us to move beyond recording of events has come. And it must be, or journalism must be, the voice that calls this storm by its name, the conscience that demands truth, and the bridge that carries scientific insight into the hands of those who must act upon it. So we ask ourselves that climate scientists across the region are always generating critical knowledge. And when you come to WASCAL, we have our library, and it is staffed with high-level PhD results from across West Africa. Over 500 of them seated, from sea level rise, oceanography to energy across. Along the Gulf of Guinea, deforestation rates in Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire, the rainfall pattern shift, all these results have been identified. But we realize that these findings often remain trapped in technical language, in technical reports, and they are inaccessible to people mostly affected. So the people who are affected are not able to assess these results, because even if they assess it, they don't understand what it entails. And even to the policymakers who are also responsible to take action are not scientists, and so they are also left stranded, and they don't understand. And this is where journalists step in. We as journalists serve as the bridge between science and society, capable of turning intricate or very difficult or complex data into stories that inform, that mobilize, and that inspire. But these require more than just gathering figures and then dumping them on readers. It demands context, cultural relevance, and accountability. That is why it's very important for us to know our core functions. I am very sure we all know, but from time to time, it is very important for us to remind ourselves of what we stand for, or what our functions as journalists, or as it were, climate and environmental journalists are. And one of our functions is to inform the public. So we need to provide accurate, timely, and relevant information to help citizens make informed decisions. So people should be able to read from journalists where we are able to translate seasonal climate forecasts into planting advice for farmers. This is when we begin to feel the impact of our report. We should be able to relate abstract data into lived impact, experiential impact. Like we're talking about the current challenge we face in the shoreline in Keita could retreat by 30 meters by 2040. By crafting our messages this way, it makes it's much more relatable to the non-scientific person who may be reading the consequences of climate change in our communities. I think someone has the sound on. Again, the second function we can talk about is to educate society. So the audience need to be helped by understanding why climate change happens and how it's connected to their lives. And you will agree with me that if you interview the average Ghanaian or the average West African about their problems, and you ask them to mention 10, climate change is not part of it. And it's as a result, this may be a qualitative observation or qualitative analysis, but you will realize that because there is no connection, they don't know how climate change is even affecting their lives. So they are not able to connect very well. And that is the reason why, as journalists, we need to educate the public by linking local deforestation to global carbon emissions and local heat waves. We need to explain science without the jargons. And that is where we find ourselves in. And I have been working with scientists for the past decade, and we have had these challenges as a communicator without science background. And that is one of the challenges that we face as communicators, because for whatever I was coming from a child welfare organization into a climate change organization. Now, as a communicator, I must understand the intricacies of climate change to be able to communicate very well. And I've spent the past 10 years to communicate. Sometimes I have to sit down with scientists to let them break down the jargons for me to understand. So when we talk about modeling, when we talk about observation network, what exactly does or do we mean if I want to explain these things to my grandmother? So these are some of the things. So educating the public and then also acting as watchdogs. As journalists, it's very important for us to act as watchdogs. Research is showing that mostly, and I will come there very soon. So maybe let me pin down the act as watchdogs and then I'll come. But we also need to provide a platform for public debates on issues about the environment and on climate change. So we have very key role to play, and these are some of the functions. We can also talk about shaping public opinion, because when we are framing, we set the agenda. And in my communication class, in my theory class, they taught us about the bullet effect. The media is so powerful that they eject you and then you feel you cannot do anything. So the media is a very powerful platform. And so we need to, what we speak is what people pick. And so it is very important for us to shape public opinion in the positive way. We need to debunk climate misinformation with clear and locally relevant facts. We need to spotlight local innovators in renewable energy, waste management, conservation, so that the common man on the streets will begin to have a mindset changed as a result of shaping public opinion. And of course, we can preserve culture and national identity. We have that responsibility to report on indigenous epistemology or indigenous ecological knowledge and its scientific validation in our communities. Let's quickly look at the trends in climate change coverage globally. So I'll take you from the global perspective. We'll come to Africa, and then we would cascade it down to Ghana. So globally, climate journalism has experienced a shift in both the volume and framing. So countries like Germany, United Kingdom have climate-related stories increasingly making front-page news, reflecting editorial prioritization and rising public concern. While there is this growing emphasis on solutions and adaptation, threat-based narratives remain prevalent. Conversely, in China and India, in Asia, coverage tends to be more state-centric, or let's say event-driven, with limited critical engagement on local policy or citizen activism. So this will bring me to how climate change journalism is faring in Africa. And these can be read in the UNFCCC and some papers that were written by, I got this from Nwabweze and Engr in 2016. So you can talk about, in Africa, climate change journalism remains limited and largely reactive. So despite the high vulnerability to climate change, consistent and in-depth media coverage topics is scarce. So he's saying that consistent reporting on climate change is very scarce. Reporting is often event-driven, heavily reliant on international fora and news wires, with significant coverage centered around global climate events like the UNFCCC Conference of Parties or COP. And reliably, I have attended about 4 COPs so far, the latest one being the Azerbaijan one at COP29, where I was there. And I try to monitor stories in the media, in the Ghanaian media. And I am sure we may have some people here who were there. I met close to 20 to 25 journalists from Ghana, and I'm very sure some of my colleagues, maybe when you see my face, you see the one talking. So we were there, but the research is showing that until there is such a large event, we do not really feel the topic of climate change compared to the Western world, where you could see editorial, you could see front pages being constantly dedicated to issues on climate change. So climate change in Africa, as it were, in West Africa, is normally event-driven. So when there is a launch of a climate change initiative, then journalists are there and then they report on it. Then we close the case over there. So I will come to where we would need some of these to discuss it. In Nigeria, for instance, by Asian Amenfa and ACA, they said that less than 1% of newspaper content addresses climate change. Not less than 1%, less than 0.1%, with coverage largely confined to disasters or international summits. So when there is flood, then it is covered. When there is an issue, there is an event, it is covered. And then at the end of the day, we end over there. Now, what may be some of the constraints? And from the beginning, when I joined, I heard some of the speeches and talking about the need for support from NGOs and other partners. The common constraints include underfunded newsroom and insufficient specialists. And that is why I'm very happy about this specialized network of journalists, because we need this. Because truth be told, today, due to constraints in funding and some of our media houses, we all know the way the media houses are structured in West Africa. It is difficult to, segment people or employ people and say, you come and just come and report. Normally, we do that for sports, but even with that, you have media houses where journalists report. Today, you see us reporting on sports. The next time we are reporting on climate change. The next time we are reporting on entertainment. And we are, as my colleague in the football field will say, we are like Sam Johnson. We can play goalkeeper number 1. We can play number 9. When you ask, can you play number 6? He say, yes, I can play number 6. Can you play number 8? Sam Johnson will still raise their hand. So we are jack of all trades. We are reporting on various issues. It's just a countable amount of media houses that dedicate various journalists to report on specific issues. But generally, we see that we have journalists covering everything, business stories, sports, and so on and so forth. So this is one of the challenges that we are facing in our part of the world. So, for instance, coverage in Ghana's Daily Graphic and Ghanaian Times, for instance, sometimes also displays similar tendencies, with articles often echoing government statements and focusing more on awareness than accountability. So comparative research with Nigerian newspaper and Ghana is limited, but both looking at where they stand from their colonial history, you realize that what is reported is mainly from the government's machinery. And we would quickly be looking at how to bridge the gap between research and journalism. This allowing to create this, because making scientific research the backbone of climate stories will go a long way to help in providing policymakers and the various stakeholders or non-scientific stakeholders the opportunity to really decipher what climate change really is about, bring them closer to what they need to understand so that there would be prompt action. So scientific research must anchor climate change, and this requires seeking original data sets and peer-reviewed studies. We need to translate measurement into relatable impact. So for instance, we cannot report based on hearsay. We need data. And when you come to WASCAL, we have a full department, data management department. We have where we are able to collate the scientific report and the scientific result of our various scientists into one pool. And so once these are received, how do we now translate them into relatable impact? How do we get people to really understand what these figures or these data are? So for instance, we want to talk about the fact that for a particular data we have, it could probably reduce maize yields in West Africa by 10 to 20% in the next 10 years. When we provide them data like this, it allows us to clarify the scale, whether the results apply to a village, a nation, or maybe in the Sahel or West Africa as a whole. It allows them and it brings them back closer to understand what we're trying to put over there. We also need to blend the science with human narrative. So we've been saying that the narrative of climate change lacks human interface. Facts persuade, but stories always inspire action. And as storytellers, as journalists, we need to begin with lived experiences. So how do we tell the story of the farmer shifting planting cycle or the family relocating to a flooded delta? How do we link them to the data that we have instead of just putting out the data there and people read and they don't understand? How do we avoid doom-only framing? The world is going to come to an end as a result of climate. The ice is melting and everybody is going to die. How do we balance this? By balancing both the risk with solutions like community reforestation, water harvesting, and other indigenous knowledge actions that we can. So we don't just spell out doom, but in spelling out the doom, we also need to bring out the solutions that can go a long way to help. One of the research findings that I came across was the fact that indigenous knowledge has been ignored. And it's as a result of the fact that we are talking about scientific research. But in talking about scientific research, indigenous people have been sidelined for a very long time as far as the climate resilience effort is concerned. And so we see indigenous people rather as victims instead of bringing them on board as actors in fighting climate change. So we have not been able to decolonize the fight against climate change. Every fight we are fighting has always been the colonized version. So it is what the colonial masters handed over to us, or their approach and their way of doing things. That is what we report on. But how do we report on sacred forests? How do we report on the evil forest and how what religion is doing, what totemism is doing, what are the folklores that we have in West Africa? What are the taboo days? Don't go to the sea on Tuesdays. How are these also contributing positively or negatively to the fight against climate change? We lack some of these stories, or maybe I am here to come back in my research. We realize that we have not given that role when we want to embark on knowledge, probably because we are not able to attribute it to any scientific evidence, and it is more, if you need the results, then you must be more ethnographic. You must stay with the people and understand what they do. So at the end of the day, we are not able to even attribute, when we pick something from indigenous knowledge, we do not even acknowledge them. But the time has come that when we pick it from there, we should be able to acknowledge them. And it's very important for us to look at taboo days. We have to look at sacred forest that has been able to evil forest as a result of the fact that it's evil forest. You don't go there to cut a tree, and it has preserved our forests. How do we bring about all of this? So as journalists, when we have this information, this scientific information, how do we then churn out the information for people to really understand what we want to send across? Now, let's look at the role the scientist plays, or the role scientific research plays in climate journalism, and then I'll bring my presentation to an end. First of all, it builds accuracy, and it also builds public trust, because when our findings are well researched, we are able to build accuracy. We report accurately, and the public really entrust what they need to entrust into our hands. We are also able to turn complex science into everyday language, because then we are in touch with the scientific world, and we are able to break down the scientific terms for them to, for the public to really understand. It also helps us when we engage in scientific research. It helps us to guide public debate and policy, so that we no more engage in pedestrian talk, but we understand what we are talking about because it is well researched. So we are able to guide public debate and policy. When we stand to talk, we have that authority to be able to deliver. We also are able to counter misinformation, because there is so much misinformation about climate change, and it is only through research that we are able to counter this misinformation through our stories. We are also able to reveal hidden trends and risk. So, for instance, not all climate impacts are sudden or visible, like in the case of Ebola or in the case of COVID-19. So, problems such as saltwater intrusion into farmlands or the loss of key species happen gradually. Over a period of time, we begin to feel the impact. And as a result of that, we are not able to immediately identify some of these things, but through research, we are able to identify them. And as journalists, we are able to communicate that to the general public. So once again, through scientific research, we are able to hold power accountable. Now, what do we mean by holding power accountable? Do we want to report based on making every sitting government look good by just coming out to tell us what they are doing to fight climate change? I have been to quite a number of COP, and then I see government, especially African governments, come to talk big, come to say all manner of things that are not actually really there. In my organization, recently, we have what we call the Global Stocktake. And the Global Stocktake, what it does is that the non-state actors. Okay, thank you. So the Global Stocktake, what it does is that the UN has established the non-state actors, networks of non-state actors, so CSOs, NGOs across the world. And these people or these networks monitor, and I'm sure some of you may know the Global Stocktake, the IGST, Independent Global Stocktake. So what they do is to monitor and put governments on their toes based on their national action plans and their NDCs. In NDCs, that's the nationally determined contributions. And recently, we came out with a paper. We came out with a research finding, and we held a meeting with the various West African countries on how each country is faring as far as what they promised to do in their NDCs and the National Action Plan were concerned. And we realized that they were lacking in a lot of areas. So we had a meeting in Lome to discuss it. There have been inputs and the document will come, and I'm sure it will be of interest to. We actually launched it at COP29 in Azerbaijan last year, and I'm very sure with such a formidable network, it will be of interest to you, and we would make them available when it is finalized. So we are able to then hold power to account. We are able to then put them, once we understand the documents they have put out there, we should be able to read the documents, understand them, and then be able to begin to question what has been achieved, because then through research, we have been able to do that. So in summation, in the role of science or the role of research in climate journalism is very critical, irrespective of how we look at it qualitatively or quantitatively, whether we want to do content analysis or we want to do ethnographic study, depending on what we want to do. It is very, very important, because once we do that, we are able to bridge communication gap. We are able to break the limited science, media science collaboration that is there. We are able to widen it, and then we are able to break the mistrust or the politicization of science or politicization of climate change. We need to come together and get ourselves committed to at least publishing one investigative climate feature each quarter or periodically, combining indigenous and scientific knowledge in our reporting, and also following up on climate pledges made from COP Summit, which I've spoken about. We need to follow up, because when we ended COP last year, between then and now, maybe it's been there, but it has not been an issue that has popped up. In November, COP is going to come again, and then we all jump onto it. And then after that, we say, where is the $100 million that was promised?
Thank you very much, Mr. Newcomer. We are very grateful for your speech, and I like some of the topics you brought up, because over our training session, we discussed some of them, like going into some of this, our forests, because of some of the taboos. We are not able to go there to get the facts we need for our information and all those stuff. So I hope my fellow journalists, we all paid attention and we realized that he has given us more clarification on some of the topics we discussed during the training session. I hope we'll make more efforts and be able to gather the facts and information we will need to help with our science and technology world, so that we can be able to share information, like he said, in a layman's language for the public to be able to understand the science of our world. Thank you very much once again, Mr. Newcomer.
My pleasure, my sister.
Our guest speaker is Mr. Asani I don't know if I'm mentioning the name correctly, Mr. Asani Diop, Senior Communication Officer of the African Population and Health Research Center. He will be presenting on communicating health and climate together, why journalists must understand the human impact of a changing environment. Mr. Asani Diop, please, if you are ready, we are available for your speech now. You can take over the floor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Esther, for moderating this great event. Yeah, you pronounced well the name. I'm Hassan Diouf, Senior Communication Officer from APHRC, African Population Health Research Center. I would like first to express my pleasure today to be part of this very interesting gathering regarding some things that I think all of us here, either we are journalists, communicators, or even civil societies, or fellows in terms of research, I think it's something very interesting to have this kind of gathering with such orientation, with such a concern. And I will be greeting you, all of you guys, for giving us the opportunity to be here and to give our intervention regarding the topic raised. just to show and to say that it's a very true honor to speak today on behalf of the African Population and Health Research Center as we gather this lunch of the West African Journalists for Environment, Science, Health, and Agriculture, Wajesha. So I would like to extend my sincere thanks for this Center for Climate Change and Food Security for this invitation. I congratulate the entire team for this visionary initiative, having the vision to establish such a kind of platform, which is Wajesha, that embodies, I think, the very essence of synergy between science, journalism, and sustainable development. Before going deep to the topic, I would like first to present APHRC. As you might maybe know, APHRC is a research center, a Pan-African research center and policy organization established over 2 decades ago. And we are dedicated to generating high-level quality evidence to inform policy and to improve lives across the continent. So you know how this kind of gathering, this kind of platform, which is Wajesha, can be interesting for research organization like us, having has mission to generate evidence to inform policy and to improve life across Africa, particularly sub-Saharan Africa. So basically, our work focus on public health, on population, on education, on urbanization, on social equity, and strengthening data systems within Africa, specifically with sub-Saharan Africa. So you will understand that the role of the overall role, missions, and activities of APHRC intend to strengthen national and regional data systems to translate research into actionable policy, and also to support with sub-Saharan African countries to design and adopt, but also implement evidence-based solutions. So the value of science and environmental journalism, such this kind of initiative, this kind of platform of Wajesha, why it's interesting, because we consider that science, health, and environmental journalism is a critical bridge between researchers, policymakers, and communities. So in a world where climate crisis, health challenges, and food insecurity are deeply interconnected, we consider that the accuracy and quality of information becomes tools of resilience and survival. So we consider that Wajesha has the potential to become a pioneering platform that transforms complex evidence into clear, relatable stories that mobilize actions. So this was just the introduction from the organization, a research organization we are, having the valuable honor to be invited to this interesting gathering. So going to the topic regarding communicating health and climate together, and how journalism development or environmental or climate change journalism can contribute to this goal. Let us first go to the reality. What is the diagnostic situation? So the reality is clear. Climate change is not only an environmental challenge, it now become a public health emergency. And in APHRC, we understand this because within our different program unity, we have a specific program unity who focuses on climate change and environmental health. And all our projects, programs, and activities related to this program are being implemented by this program unit. And as I said, it's now a public health emergency. And when we talk about public health emergency, we know how rising, spreading can be a vector borne for the different issues regarding climate change or environmental health. How it can be interesting regarding food insecurity and other well-being, health well-being, and others concerned regarding climate change and environmental health. And how also climate induced migration and other topics, very critical topics like mental health stress, like elementary reproductive mother health, newborn and adolescent health, etc. So all these topics is deeply related on how communicating health and climate is important and how journalists specialized on this topic can contribute to raising these different points. So the question now we have to raise is why journalists must embrace this intersection. The first point could be considered has the connect of dots between environment, agriculture, health, and the economy. The second one could be the humanize the data. I think the previous intervention raised the point like this: how we could humanize data so that it is able to be actionable, so that it is understood more easily and influenced more easily. So show the lived experience of communities and vulnerable groups in a way that it is understandable. It is something like I don't know what the word to use to explain the receptivity of the information so that we can go from data, from evidence to action. And the other point is to amplify science so that the influences urgent policies and public action. This is the main point we should always, starting from action, from research, from everything in communication for development or development action, we should first think about how we can influence urgent policies and public action. Because overall, by the end of the day, what we want to achieve is to inform, sensitize, educate, and influence for action. So this is the very critical role that the journalists, a specialized journalist in development or specialized in environmental health, in climate change, should take into account when it's come to give information. My fifth point is regarding the key messages. To you guys who are the journalists, yeah, we can consider that you will be the network journalists of Wajesha in West Africa. And I'm delighted that prior to this launch, you had a fellowship program and you received different indication. You have been capitalized, you have been strengthened to really know what is about climate health journalism, what is about environment health journalism, and how you should act to give the right information and on the way you should give it. So the first key message is to be translators of science. So you journalists should be translators of science to make knowledge, to make evidences, to make data accessible without losing its integrity. This is the first point, which is very critical. The second one is to build trust with your audience. And to build trust with your audience, you must have credibility in your greatest asset. And also to work alongside researchers. We know that we are in a different environment of work, in a different perception of work between communicators and researchers, but you should always work alongside these researchers and those researchers to know that they need communicators, they need journalists to be part of the objective, to be part of the impact and effect of the different projects. So to enrich your narrative with robust evidence. So if you want maybe your papers, your information to be enriched and to be robust in terms of evidence, you need to be alongside researchers. And the fourth and last point is to adopt a regional lens. In each region, maybe the strategic framework from West Africa is different from the one on Central and different from the one in the Eastern, Southern, and Central, etc. So you should adopt a regional lens for African challenges that requires African voices and African solutions. So these are the 4 key messages I would like to raise to the Wajesha Journalist Network. And I will be finishing my intervention with how APHRC is committed within the communication within all that concern actionable evidences to influence policies, to communicate with different stakeholders that lead to action. So APHRC is now a very committed organization into communicating, into reaching out different organizations, different platforms like Wajesha's to provide training on data literacy and evidence interpretation, because we know that these are part of our objective. I will just maybe take an explanation on this just to show how this is so important for APHRC. We have 3 main departments, 3 main unit in APHRC, and within those 3 main departments, we have the policy, engagement, and communication department. And this is just to show that we give a critical concern regarding communication, regarding knowledge translation, regarding evidence translation. So the other point that showed APHRC's commitment is today to be able to share with Wajesha and different platforms like yours relevant research on climate, on health, and population, those different programmatic project and those different program and project we are working on. The third APHRC commitment goes to the Explore Joint initiative that strengthens evidence-based advocacy. So this also shows that APHRC is really committed into working with these platforms like Wajesha and others journalist platform. And by the way, for example, in Senegal, we've started this work with the same platform, which name is Senegalese journalist platform working on health, population, and development. We've signed an MOU to work with them and to be able to transfer evidence, to be able to inform, sensitize, and educate, but all the time we have the concern of influencing policies for action. So this is my main points. I would like now to close by giving you guys my further congratulations by launching Wajesha today. By launching such a kind of platform, you are planting a seed that can grow into a network capable of reshaping our societies, understand and respond to the interconnected challenges of climate and health. Journalists can be considered as the knowledge carriers and the catalysts for action. And I know together, you as platform of journalists, network of journalists, we as researchers and the media globally can shape a future where information saves lives and safeguards our planet. This is my words, and I would like once again thank you guys and show you our interest to deeply interact with you within our different project and program in Sub-Saharan Africa. Thanks again. This was my word.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sandiof. We are very grateful for the presentation. So please, I would like to alert our speakers and presenters. We have a maximum of 15 minutes for each and every presentation. So once we introduce you, we'll like, after giving us a brief info about the organization you are coming from, we would like you to take us through the topic you are supposed to present on, since we are already behind time. Thank you very much. So next will be Dr. Beatrice Wiafe Adai. She's from the Breast Care International Organization. So she'll be giving us a speech on the topic, Bridging the Gap Between Public Health Advocacy and Science Journalism in Africa. Dr. Beatrice, please, we are ready for you.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, may I respectfully ask for a minute silence in honor of our 8 gallant countrymen who perished in the recent air crash in the line of duty. May their souls and the souls of all departed rest in perfect peace. On my own behalf and on behalf of the board and management of Breast Care International and Peace and Love Hospitals, I would like to congratulate Wajesha on your launch and to encourage you to imbibe the values of good governance, notably probity, accountability, and corporate social responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, the lines of cooperation between responsible health journalism and research on one hand and effective healthcare delivery on the other are not blurred. To remain purposeful, inclusivity should be uppermost in our engagements. To this end, I'm confident in your ability to act as a beacon for forward-thinking leadership relevant to the core mandate and vision of your noble organization. Ghana stands at the threshold of a new media dispensation defined by rapid digital transformation. We must reflect the architecture of the new world, information and communication order driven by a cocktail of traditional, electronic, and social media, which offers a challenge in the maintenance of standard and control. We must dovetail our advocacy programs into these technological changes in a world where information travels at the speed of light. Effective communication demands agility, foresight, ethical considerations, and a deep understanding of how technology could be harnessed to bridge the gap between media reportage, research, and healthcare delivery. This imposes a responsibility on your leaders not to be merely reactive but proactive, complete with a far-sighted vision to inspire the present and future generation of media practitioners to start a path that would make Wajesha visible and competitive at the national stage. The media space is replete with coverage on politics, entertainment, and sports. The few and far in between coverage of health-related matters could be linked to the specialized nature and expertise required in providing coverage in skilled areas, including health and agriculture. Your noble organization should strive continuously to equip members and society at large with the critical thinking skills, entrepreneurial spirit, and the technological literacy necessary to increase food production and security. Our content should aim at reversing poverty, climate change, and inadequate infrastructure factors that are responsible for food insecurity. Similarly, we must endeavor to challenge cultural stereotypes through effective communication to drive down rapid urbanization, population growth, and gender inequalities. Again, we should evolve practical public relations models in building a more informed and digitally equipped association. Ladies and gentlemen, the leadership must develop and nurture a sustainable architecture capable of leveraging modern technology and innovation for a prosperous food-sufficient Ghana. Finally, you should maintain a cohesive front, forge productive alliances, and eschew divisionism among your ranks. May God and Allah bless us all. Thank you.
So let's move to our next speaker by the name Famara Niasi, a veteran journalist who will be presenting on the topic Bridging Science and Storytelling, why Africa needs journalists who understand science.
Merci. Je pense que aujourd'hui en Afrique de l'Ouest, on a besoin, et notamment peut-être l'Afrique anglophone nous dépasse, il faut le dire, mais l'Afrique francophone encore a beaucoup de chemin à faire, notamment dans le traitement de l'information scientifique, mais aussi surtout sur ces questions de changement climatique. Donc, sur cette question, donc, mesdames et messieurs de CCCFS, donc, et de GJESHA, donc je pense que je prononce ça très bien. Merci de l'opportunité que vous m'offrez de m'exprimer sur cette question très, très importante, puisque l'expérience que j'ai eue sur le terrain, notamment dans une région comme Ziguinchor, la Casamance, vous avez entendu parler, c'est le poumon vert du Sénégal. On parlait de grenier du Sénégal. Aujourd'hui, cette zone est totalement menacée par la coupe du bois, par la déforestation. Donc, il me plaît aujourd'hui de parler de cette question-là parce que lorsque Amidou Diorou, avec qui on travaille souvent sur ces questions environnementales, m'a saisi pour vraiment traiter de cette question-là, c'était un véritable honneur pour moi de parler de tout cela. Donc, l'Afrique, comme le reste du monde, est confrontée à des défis, on le sait, notamment l'Afrique de l'Ouest, à des défis complexes liés à la santé, au climat, à l'énergie. Vous savez, aujourd'hui, par exemple, le Sénégal est devenu un pays producteur et exportateur de pétrole, de gaz. donc qui change maintenant la donne, puisque nous devenons maintenant parmi ces pays pollueurs. Donc les politiques doivent changer, les comportements doivent changer, les politiques gouvernementales doivent changer. De telle sorte qu'aujourd'hui, ce que nous pouvons faire, c'est de dire que les journalistes doivent être à l'heure, vraiment, formater leur disque ou leur logiciel ancien pour s'adapter à la réalité des choses. Donc, ces défis-là, donc, c'est des défis complexes liés à la santé, je l'ai dit, à l'énergie, à la technologie, à l'éducation. Pourtant, trop souvent, les découvertes, hein, oui, les découvertes scientifiques, les données cruciales et les innovations locales restent enfermées. Et on le sait, et je l'ai dit tout à l'heure, que l'Afrique francophone est en train de traîner les pieds. Et c'est pourquoi quand on me parle de cette formation venant du Ghana à Accra, et je salue toutes les populations de Accra, le Ghana, et on sait que vous êtes trop à la pointe de ces innovations et de la formation. Quand je prends le cas du Kenya, de la Tanzanie, de l'Afrique du Sud, de l'Éthiopie, vous voyez que ces pays-là anglophones font des pas de géants et il reste maintenant à l'Afrique francophone, notamment à l'Afrique de l'Ouest, de marquer quand même son empreinte parce que la donne a changé. Donc, parler de ces questions-là nous revient à comprendre que c'est ici que intervient un maillon essentiel et encore trop sous-estimé, le journalisme scientifique. Donc, le journalisme scientifique dans les pays anglophones, ça pose problème parce qu'il y a cette méfiance entre les scientifiques, parce qu'il y a trop de propagande dans ce que nous faisons. Mais la culture sénégalaise fait qu'aujourd'hui, vous allez vous rendre compte avec les réseaux sociaux qu'il y a beaucoup de désinformation. Donc, les journalistes qui comprennent la science aujourd'hui jouent un rôle de traducteur entre les chercheurs et le public. Un public souvent avec cette éducation, il y a beaucoup d'analphabétisme. Notre société est marquée par des gens qui n'ont pas fait l'école. Donc, le journaliste devient un trait d'union entre les productions scientifiques qui touchent souvent à des questions quotidiennes. Des questions quotidiennes, la santé, c'est une question communautaire qui doit être comprise par la communauté. Malheureusement, les concepts posent problème. Donc, un journaliste scientifique devient un messie, même si le terme est de trop, mais devient un messie dans une communauté qui fait face à des problèmes extraordinaires. Donc, en rendant l'information scientifique accessible, compréhensible et pertinente, ils permettent les journalistes aux citoyens de s'approprier les connaissances nécessaires pour prendre des décisions éclairées sur leur santé, leur environnement et sur l'alimentation. L'alimentation aujourd'hui, vous avez vu avec ces problèmes de choléra, ces problèmes de maladies qui souvent assaillent nos communautés. Et le journaliste devrait jouer sa partition et en parfaite collaboration avec les scientifiques. Et par exemple, durant la pandémie de COVID-19, on l'a vécu au Sénégal, surtout, moi, je faisais partie de ces comités de journalistes qui étaient revenus dans leur communauté pour essayer de dissiper les infox, les fake news, et ça a permis à beaucoup de nos communautés qui avaient peur même de prendre le vaccin parce qu'on disait que le vaccin, c'était pour stériliser les Africains, c'est pour tuer les Africains. Et donc, les gens avaient peur. Donc, de telle sorte que ces journalistes ont permis aux citoyens de s'approprier les connaissances nécessaires pour prendre voilà, des décisions. Donc, durant cette période-là, c'était une période très difficile où le vaccin devenait une arme de guerre, mais aussi une arme pour tout simplement exister. Parce que quand on explique, même si c'est faux, souvent les gens ont une oreille. De telle sorte que les journalistes qui ont quand même une certaine dimension sont très bien suivis. Est-ce que ces journalistes-là maîtrisent, par exemple, tous les vaccins? Est-ce qu'ils savent derrière ces vaccins-là, ce qui se trouve derrière ces vaccins? Ce sont là ces questions-là que nous avons eu à traiter. Donc, la pandémie de COVID-19 a permis d'expliquer les vaccins, la transmission du virus où les mesures de prévention ont été essentielles pour combattre la désinformation et bâtir la confiance. Confiance, le mot-là revient encore en confiance. Donc, aujourd'hui, entre les journalistes et les scientifiques, parce que au GIEC, le groupe intergouvernemental pour voilà, le climat, avec Madame Jong, Aïda Jong, avec qui on collabore, mais aussi avec l'ANACIM, l'Agence nationale de la météorologie au Sénégal. Ce sont là des structures qui ont besoin de journalistes. Mais quel genre de journaliste? Un journaliste qui va quand même vers l'information, un journaliste formé aux questions scientifiques, un journaliste qui peut, à partir de mots scientifiques, essayer de prendre des synonymes sans trahir le contenu pour au moins pouvoir accéder, faire adhérer les communautés. Donc l'Afrique, notamment l'Afrique de l'Ouest, n'est pas épargnée aux fausses nouvelles, vous le savez. Aujourd'hui au Ghana, en Côte d'Ivoire, au Sénégal, nous sommes dans une zone marquée par la rébellion casamançaise avec le MFDC. Vous avez vu que travailler dans ces zones-là, déjà, il faut avoir le courage. Il y a la coupe du bois dans des zones où il y a des rebelles, dans des zones où il y a des militaires. Comment le journaliste doit aller vers ces zones-là, dans ces zones-là, essayer de faire ressortir la bonne information sans tomber dans la désinformation. Donc, déjà, en Casamance, on a eu beaucoup de séances de formation sur le traitement de l'information en zone de conflit. Donc, aujourd'hui, nous avons notre défi, comment traiter l'information scientifique. De telle sorte qu'aujourd'hui, face à des fléaux comme le paludisme, l'Ebola, lorsque la pandémie d'Ebola, on parlait du Congo, voilà, mais en Guinée aussi, un pays voisin du Sénégal, il y a eu beaucoup de désinformation, de telle sorte qu'on disait telle communauté et telle autre communauté est à la base par exemple, de la transmission de l'Ebola, comment dirais-je, au Sénégal. Donc, les journalistes devraient être aux avant-postes pour essayer de dire à cette population sénégalaise que l'information véhiculée hier dans tel site ou tel autre site ou sur Internet est une information fausse parce que tel scientifique a eu à parler et ce scientifique-là est reconnu par la communauté sénégalaise. Donc, c'est ce genre de travail-là qu'on a eu à faire, de telle sorte qu'aujourd'hui, poser le débat sur comment le journaliste doit quand même maîtriser les rapports de nos scientifiques est une question centrale. Est une question centrale, sinon nous allons vers des situations où on parle de vaccins ou des situations où on parle des effets du changement climatique qui ont des impacts sur notre vie, de telle sorte que si nous ne nous mettons pas dans la formation pour au moins comprendre les concepts utilisés par les scientifiques, je pense que nous aurons un journaliste très aérien qui ne va pas servir grand-chose pour sa communauté. Et malheureusement, on est en train de vivre avec les réseaux sociaux ce phénomène-là. De telle sorte qu'aujourd'hui, les journalistes doivent aller à l'école des sciences. Pas les sciences, aller reprendre l'école, le lycée et l'université, mais aller collaborer avec des productions quand même responsables pour permettre à ces scientifiques de pouvoir quand même avoir confiance en ces journalistes-là. Parce que quand nous allons traiter un sujet aussi crucial pour aider nos communautés, si nous ne maîtrisons pas les concepts avec l'aide, par exemple, des scientifiques, nous risquons d'être les ennemis de nos communautés. De telle sorte qu'aujourd'hui, il est impératif. Il faut le faire. Il faut le faire pour éviter vraiment que nous soyons encore là à suivre parce que les COP que les gens couvrent, vous avez vu que c'est l'anglais qui est là et nous sommes dans des pays francophones. Est-ce que quelqu'un qui ne maîtrise pas la langue, l'anglais, peut déchiffrer, par exemple, un rapport scientifique écrit en anglais? Je pense que nous avons un double défi, surtout nous de l'Afrique francophone, de telle sorte que vraiment ces genres de formation et le lancement de Wajesha, je pense que j'ai bien prononcé, je pense que ce sont des formations qu'on doit démultiplier. Il faut renforcer ces genres de formations, surtout aider les journalistes des pays francophones à être à l'heure quand même de l'information scientifique. Donc, pour terminer, je dis tout simplement, un journaliste formé à la rigueur scientifique sait poser les bonnes questions. Il sait poser les bonnes questions. Il devient ainsi un acteur clé contre les rumeurs et les manipulations. Parce que dans nos sociétés, aujourd'hui, il y a trop de manipulations dans les réseaux sociaux. Donc, les réseaux sociaux sont devenus des caisses à résonance, des gens qu'on appelle influenceurs.
You distinguished guests, and then colleagues and friends alike, all protocol observed. Thank you, moderator, but my name is Caleb Mensah, not Caleb Amankwa. That's just for the record, yes. So because of due to the internet challenges, I think we might find it a little challenging should I try to share the slides I have over here, but I'll be very brief and now go straight to the topic. The previous speakers have done a very good job, especially tackling the issue when it comes to media journalism, especially on climate that relates to climate change. And it's an honor also to be here for the launch of Wajesha, a group that is now in another way that we want to recognize a platform to recognize a simple truth, which has to do with information is powerful only when it is shared, understood, and really acted upon. Africa has a lot of, so as a moderator said, I will be speaking on bridging academia and the media in advancing Africa's climate and environmental agenda. And as we are all aware, climate change is happening all around us. And we are being severely impacted by these changes in the climate. And as the other speakers have already outlined examples of some of these challenges, from it being flooding, being the heat stress, it's also has to do with farming. Because of the high temperatures, plants are unable to withstand these temperatures and they tend to wither and they are severely affected, meaning it's going to affect productivity. Now, it gets to some time when most parts of the continent, we not, especially when you take West Africa like this, we depend mostly on these cereals. So it's going to get to some time when we might not even get to enjoy the favorite cereals, the favorite food from the cereals that we have been using. And that's going to affect a lot of things, going to cause also more nourishment, going to lead to conflicts that's going to serve as a way that possibly countries can even go to war, especially over small pastures and other places, as we are already seeing with these cattle herdsmen, especially when they move to these green areas. They want to take over with their cattle, and then they start to overgraze and co. So we are already facing the severe impact. So nobody can say that it is not happening, and it's evidential. We see it in the community, the society, all around us. So these are things, but because we lack the adaptive capacity as a continent, especially in many countries, we struggle. Even these small or these, shall I say, minor ones, if they are or isolated cases, should they occur, we are going to be affected, especially as most of our economies are agrarian, that's dependent, rainfall dependent. So Africa is being really affected. For example, the 2022 drought in the Horn of Africa is recorded to be one of the worst drought conditions to have ever happened on the continent, which affected millions with economic damages from climate-related hazards exceeding about $8.5 billion in only 1 year alone in 2022. And all of these need to be communicated. People, it is happening at times elsewhere. And if it's not communicated and communicated well, the inhabitants or the African inhabitants wouldn't understand. And that poses a lot of challenge, because if you are trying to create the awareness, certain things happening in their community and they now start to attribute it to the gods. And as at times, some of these things, you even interact the communities and they don't even know what is going on around them. And they think possibly it's as a result of some cares, some kind of wrongdoing that might have led to that. And if this information or these, if they will be well educated to understand whatever is going on in their climate and co, then we need the media. We need that form of communication. Even if you work tirelessly, like how in the academia, we have to always conduct research with a that then it creates a gap. It creates a very big gap between you really conducting impact research that is going to impact the lives of the people, that of the welfare of the inhabitants that you are seeking to serve. Then it becomes it becomes a challenge, and then it even now increases their vulnerability rates, because they tend to now continue to go about their way of doing things, and it's really going to now leave them more vulnerable. And there are examples. For instance, at our department like this, one of our researchers or one of our lecturers was part of a group that was currently researching on the amount of carbon that is emitted, especially along or at the Gaza Strip. You get to know, and it was captured by Reuters, and they were able to really break down, really communicate the findings from the research, and let us know that especially we've been always attacking countries that they need to cut down on their emission rate and co. But how well have we been monitoring also the extent of emission at this war zone place? Because no scientist will go there to start monitoring, especially because of the state or the war state that they are in. But when these researchers really sacrificed and went in to carry out their research, they saw that even these big, the concrete slabs that the soldiers construct, the army bases that they create and the roads that they have to create, they emit a lot of carbon, even more than some countries. And these are things that are now being communicated for people to know that even at the war zones and meaning there are also other emission rates that are also going there that we have neglected for a long time. And it's the media that really does well to really communicate some of this information to let people know whatever is going on around them, and now champion certain agenda, and then push through certain policies and talks and make sure that we are finding solutions, or we are finding ways to curb some of these emission rates, or some of these, and these emission rates are what leads to climate change. So one of the key elements when it comes to strong climate change reporting has to also do with accuracy and scientific biases. There is the need for us to know which information that needs to be prioritized, which information needs to be taken from credible scientific, the sources are going to be credible, like the IPCC, and some credible scientific the communities around, so that we don't just create fear and panic. Because that's one thing that at times, if you're not very careful, some media men will just pick up any news, they don't verify, and then they'll just put it out there. Now it creates fear and panic among the general the populace, and now people start getting scared. But there is a need for us to really get these good information, and so that when we have to educate them, we really know how to educate them well. And the message should be clear and then also easily accessible. At times, some of these, when you leave some of these findings for scientists to actually communicate to the people, that's where they are going to even use more complex and other languages that are not very clear to have the specialty, or they have the expertise in knowing how to communicate stories. Hello? Please, I hope I'm clear.
Yes, please. You are clear now.
Okay. Sorry, I think the network just went off. So they understanding the message that you are putting across, how can they link it to their local context, to their where they find themselves in, and how can they even now come out with innovative initiative and solutions that they can also contribute their quota, especially when it comes to this climate change adaptation and mitigation strategies. There is also the need for very sound or strong investigative journalism, whereby we try to uncover the root causes of climate change and try to hold powerful actors accountable, those who are polluting the environment. At times, they end up to be some of our key policy makers. At times, they end up to be the politicians, the powerful men around these actors. How can we hold them accountable and let them know that certain actions or inactions that they are doing is really polluting or destroying them? We need investigative journalism, go extras. So we have to really avoid this sensationalism and rather focus on solutions and resilience, rather than solely just focusing only on the crisis-driven, trying to create some fear and panic there. But we have to let the people know that they also have a role to play, and not throw everything to government, expecting government to start from somewhere and then come to help them. But they take their future into their own hands. As we have been seeing at times, these demonstrations in most of these advanced countries or foreign countries, whereby the people get down to the streets and they try to impress upon their policymakers to take certain measures that can really help safeguard the environment and also protecting their lives and properties. There's also the need for further collaboration and partnerships at the University of Energy and Natural Resources through the strategic management of our university management. That's from the Vice Chancellor and then his team. We have been very active, especially trying to showcase some of these innovative researches that we are carrying out. And I'm sure one of our very active collaborators has been Nurudeen, Engineer Nurudeen with the Joy News Desk. And he has been covering most of our programs. And then because we are of the sense of view that whatever we are doing within the academia space or within the academia or academic space, we need to communicate to the rest of the world so that they get to know what the university, the role that the university is doing, and then they are also able to understand us very well. We have been very active when it comes to this climate change mitigation strategies, whereby we've already even mounted a whole station within the Biatano Forest Reserve, where we are monitoring the carbon sequestration or carbon uptake capacity of the forest, a very natural forest within the reserve, to understand under these changing climatic conditions, can our forest or can our African tropical trees, can they really be very efficient when it comes to this uptake of carbon? And these are some of the things that we can't do it alone. And even when it comes to the reporting to the world, it will be difficult. We will find it difficult to really explain it. But when we collaborate with the media team or media house, then we are able to really communicate very well for people to understand what we are doing. And there have been other projects that the university have been undertaking, especially when it comes to renewable energy, technologies and co. We've been really very active in that, and we've been actually partnering with our media houses for them to also let the people know, and we involve them in the research. We go to the ground with them, and then we teach them the data that we are collecting, its relevance, and they are able to also communicate very well to us. That's why at times you hear, the good things and wonderful things that we are doing, you've been hearing it all around. And this is the way to go. We need to bridge that gap between academia and the media, because we all have a role to play. We all need to hold our hands hand in hand and make sure that we are really educating the people well and letting them know, because climate science involves the intricate data models, the terminology, which can be also challenging at times for even the journalists to understand. But if you are able to collaborate and try to teach each other how we can make our research fruitful and let people know, then it will really help make sure that we are really conducting very impactful research within the academic space. There is also the need for us to also contextualize these global issues, okay, for specific audiences. At times, it is very difficult when you are communicating. Example, as Mr. Commey said, at times we need to know when the rains are going to set in. How long is the rainfall period going to be? Is it going to be shorter this year? Is it going to be longer next year or this year? When are the dry spells? When are we going to have dry spells? Those times when there are no rains going to happen, because at times it affects the farmers, especially when it comes. And if we can do it to them, whether we are the hunters, they are the town folks, community, we need to also know how we are going to important for us to understand how, and getting down to even the ordinary Ghanaian. And through this collaboration, by fostering this, media outlets can now even develop strategies for localizing climate information and making it relevant to specific communities. Journalists can also have access to some training and resources that can help them to even better understand climate science. For instance, at our university, one of our relation officers approached our department, which is the atmospheric and climate science, and was asking if he could now start a master's degree within that field, because he wants to understand the whole issue on climate science, and then so that when he's writing on certain reports or the impacts of climate change. He's able to really write well and understand. And these are the ways that we can break the gap between the academia and media. If we are able to also help through training of some of these media personnel. So I really like the idea when they made mention of these climate fellowships that are really available for some media personnel to undergo, especially some training, some specialized training when it comes to climate science. So academia can play a very crucial role by providing this accessible information as you requested for data. We can make data available. We can also facilitate access to the data. We can also engage in further collaborative research projects with our media partners. And I believe that will really help foster the collaboration with us. So stronger partnership between us can lead to more effective climate change communication, increased awareness, and ultimately we can have now informed decisions. And so these are what we are looking at. Now we should move from just knowledge sharing to action. That should be our focus, and that can only be attained when we are able to partner, further collaborate, and that's one thing that our university is really all out. That's the University of Energy and Natural Resources. We are ready, and we are ready to collaborate with any media institution that would really want to partner with us, especially when it comes to some of these related climate science, impactful research, because we don't want to be in our nature at one corner and believe we are impacting when the ordinary Ghanaian even doesn't know what the university is doing when it comes to climate change research activities. We could also partner in securing funds and the resources, the necessary resources to make sure that we are now communicating science, to make science communication part of the research. Now, when we are just coming up with proposals, we need to have a way for dissemination, workshops, and communication. And that's where I think that is really coming and communicate to them. How clean is our air? How for us to all know these pollution levels and go, we need the media on board to really help in communicating to them. So I wouldn't want to take much of your time. I would want to thank you all for this opportunity for us to throw more light and share our ideas on the way forward. And as I said, on behalf of the management, they are willing and they are ever ready to partner with Wajesha to make sure that we are able to really communicate and educate the populace on when it comes to climate change and its related issues. Thank you very much, and I'm grateful. Hello? Okay. I thought I was lost. And so I will hand over to Esther, and thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Khalid Mensah. We are so grateful for this presentation. And I think Esther has problem with her network, but we're supposed to have Dr. Beatrice Wiafiadai, the president of Breast Care International, but I understand she's traveling, and she's on her way back to her to her to the city, and so she's having problem with the network. Before we end, if you have anything, I mean, this is to the participants. If you have anything contribution to make, please, you are given the opportunity to do that. We are doing this within 5 minutes, then we will end the Zoom call. Please go ahead, Azuri.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Kindly be very brief. Kindly be very brief. We are running out.
I just need a further clarification. Yes. So this is good for we journalists. Okay. So we try to do our stories, but then what strategy are you putting in place to also bring on board our editors? They are the main gatekeepers. Sometimes you bring your story, you do a research, you bring your story, and don't let it go. So sometimes it happens your morale and your spirit, because you want to really go into climate change, environmental, agri, and everything. You do a very good story, and your editor is not willing to publish, and sometimes you are constrained. So what strategy are you putting in place, apart from empowering we the journalists? How are you going to bring on board the various media houses, media owners, and editors, so that they can also understand where we are going, so that there will not be any breach or conflict? Thank you.
So what we are doing, what we want to do at Wajesha is to partner with other online portals, other media houses, where our members can publish their stories. So if your editor is not willing to publish stories that you have done, we would facilitate the publication of that story on this network. And we would surely share a link that those who would want to join will fill, and then you join, and definitely we would share some of these. But one of them is like the North Journals in Nigeria, where we would open it up for members to be able to publish your story. If your editor doesn't want to publish a story, you just get in touch with us. We'll push it elsewhere in one of the African online portals so that you can publish it. Kemu, please, you can go ahead, bro.
Hello there. Thank you. I hope you can hear me. I just wanted to say this is a very interesting initiative. I am just joining as a participant. I want you, as an organization, to look at one very important thing to me and something that I've observed. We have a problem of, reporting on science and health, yes, but to a large part also, we have had issue with having experts, participating in our reporting. And this, I'm speaking from, an experience. So I hope you can look at, strengthening that relationship between the network and the experts. Not just among us as journalists, but between us and the experts, so that when we need these expert voices in our reporting, we can get them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Kemo is based in Sierra Leone. Is a journalist, and I know him, so I know where he's coming from. So surely we'll do that. That's why we are going to bring a lot of scientists on board, and when we'll surely get you on board on this platform. So some of these suggestions are very important. So Aminu,
and I think from what he said, if you look at the various speakers today, you understand that, of course, they are experts in their field when it comes to science, research, agriculture, and climate. And of course, these are the people who you are talking about. So when you want to discuss issues pertaining biodiversity, climate change, and what have you, the partnership with these people is already on for now that we are launching this project, this platform. So it's not a big deal. We are open to every membership, not just journalists. Also, like I mentioned earlier, the academics, which are the universities doing climate, talking about studying climate change, biodiversity, and what have you. Other organizations who specializes in other field of climate change. Of course, we are going to have a large network of partnership with these people. And of course, they encompasses this expert you're referring to. Thank you. Mr. Kemo Cham, you're raising up your hand. Please, can you speak? Unmute yourself and speak.
Sorry, that was the time I wanted to contribute. I'm putting it down.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right. Is Esther back?
Oh, yeah. So if
Yes, please, I have to come out of the house because the network is bad, so I'm by the roadside. Sorry for any disturbance. Yes, please.
The doctor has finished presenting, and of course, the
Yes,
floor is open
please.
for participants to ask questions, contributions, and suggestions.
Yes. Okay, so I would like to thank all of them for their presentation and also our participants for their patience and time in this program we've had today. So as I would like to say, all those who joined, we are launching our Wajesha group organization today, and through this launch, we've had various speakers come to speak to us, who, as Mr. AMINU have said, are experts in health, climate research, and then science. They didn't just tell us that go for the info and just come and put there, but at least we should also be able to break down the information to people's knowledge, so that when the general population take the news and they are reading, at least they'll be able to understand whatever we are putting on board for them to read. So we appreciate everything that our presenters have done for us, and we also appreciate the presence of our participants who have been able to stay with us throughout this whole time to get through with our lunch and then our presentation. Once again, I would like to say thank you very much for your participation, and to our presenters and our speakers. We are very grateful for your speech and also the information you've given to us. Thank you all for your participation once again. So, Engineer Mahmud, if you can take over or have anything to add to it, you can give us the information.
We just want to thank everybody for coming. We thank you, Mr. Sani Diop, Dr. Caleb Mensah. We thank you. We thank Richard Mahapatra from Down to Earth magazine in India. We thank everybody. So we would surely share a link to those who would want to join this group. And then you can fill the link. We will get your details and then we'll communicate back to you. Thank you so much. We are so grateful. And we hope that this is going to be one of the best groups in West Africa. Thank you so much. Mr. Diop, I'll get in touch afterwards. Thank you. As well as Dr. Khalid. Thank you.
Thank you. Please. Thank you very much. And thank you all for your participation.
Thank you. Bye.
Very soon.